Alright guys, and welcome to Dope Check episode number 43. The CDL's back underway, the penultimate week of CDL matches. We have one more weekend, then we go to Madrid, and it ended in dramatic fashion. OpTic versus Los Angeles Thieves, a banger series, game of the year so far, comeback game 5, Scrappy dropped 6 kills, DASHY was snaking, what's going on? So much drama to get into this weekend, and loads of teams on the verge of being arguably absolutely terrible. Some of these squads are separating themselves from the rest, some of these squads are doing that in the way that they would not be liking to, and there are some teams right now that might be on the verge of needing to blow it up. I've got some gentlemen that are going to give some takes on those matters today. Trey, how you doing? You're looking very well.
Sorry guys, everyone's been roasting me saying I look like the 2013 Bieber. Yeah, listen. I came, I saw, I conquered. I'm always right. I'm here on a... I'm being subtle today. I didn't come crazy because my gameplay, my knowledge does the talking. And there's one man over there that doesn't like that.
His knowledge does not do the talking.
And his name is Ace, the Stocksman. How are you, buddy?
The bank account does the talking, brother. Hey, I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. And I have a lot to say. I know there's a lot of people know who I like and who I don't like in this league. And I think today's a day of putting some sense in a lot of people who I think just are not actually watching the games, instead just looking at score lines and taking it at face value. So let's break it down a little bit more. Excited with one more week of matches. Then we got Major 1. So a lot of narratives up until the Major. After that, then I think a lot of opinions will change. So I'm excited to hop in today and defend what I need to defend.
Well, I will be there. Let's crack straight on. We're going to start here with Ian Crimsix Porter, my GOAT. He spent the weekend at Daytona. I just wanted to kind of go through this real quick because obviously I follow racing quite heavily in like other areas just to see what Crim's up to, because last year he was racing in basically a championship full of plumbers. Like, as far as people roast the old school pro players for being in the plumbers era, the championship that Crim won last year was mostly plumbers. There were some actual good drivers in there from time to time, but that was his like first season getting into it, right? But now he's in like actually a serious championship. Okay, it's not like tier 1 with Kobayashi and Magnussen, but we're talking like he's in kind of tier 3. So he was at Daytona this weekend racing in the GSX, and he absolutely cooked on the final day. So he's a bronze rated driver, and he ended up on the podium beating drivers that were expected to do way better than he was. So I just thought it was sick. It was also really tricky conditions out there at Daytona. It was raining the whole day. So obviously it wasn't the biggest talking point of the weekend, but seeing Crim already cook up in this new series that he's racing in, I don't know. It's pretty exciting. And the next race is going to be in Texas in March time, which is also when the Major is. So I need to find the dates to see if there's anything we could do there, but I think it'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, I love this guy, man. Again, I spoke to him on the podcast a little bit ago, obviously, over a year ago. And he's a different kind of mentality, different kind of beast. We saw it with COD. We saw how he speaks. We saw just how serious he is with the things he loves. And he's driving that passion from COD now to racing, and it's paying out for him. So it's really sick to see someone, a really big name in COD, do something big in another place, because it's kind of rare that we see people venture off of COD and become something notable. Most people went from plumbers to COD players to plumbers again. So this is a little bit of a different change of speed, and I like to see it. He's still a GOAT, man.
Lots of people have said
that's our guy right there. You know what I'm saying? We all love Crim. He's been doing it since day one, legend in COD. It's nice as well to see someone actually succeed in that other hobby that they like. You know, it's not like he went from retired COD pro to coach. Like, he actually went to do something completely off esports topic and do another hobby, which he's been a car fanatic for God knows how long. So it's nice to see him actually do something he loves.
Yeah, and he's just he's doing a great job of it. I just was going to say, his people in the paddock, as in, the paddock's kind of backstage, if you know what I'm saying, in the racing, have been, this is no surprise, but compared to other people in his position, like how long he's been racing and stuff like that, there's been talk that they've been, and understandably, incredibly impressed by his attitude, right? Like, he's not messing around. He's not taking this as a hobby. He's spending all of his waking hours trying to be the absolute best driver that he can possibly be in every regard. And that should come as no surprise because it's exactly what he did in CoD to be, you know, the winningest player ever. But I think it's fun that attitude can get him a long way because there's other competitors in esports, in anything, that have that kind of mentality, but you know, they might only have been good at that one thing that they did, so they couldn't really transfer it. And after they're done competing, then they can't use that competitive fire in any other way, apart from maybe they coach or something, right? But, you know, obviously Crim's good enough at this that he can also still keep that competitive drive going. And there's a reason why, like, he's just crushing what he's doing at the moment.
I knew he was unbelievably serious when he lost like 30 or 40 pounds, and we saw that video of him like doing like the neck exercises and all that kind of stuff. Like, he's taking it. He's not taking it lightly at all, and that's. I mean, I guess you could say a broader life lesson in general. Like, if you got to be absolutely dedicated and sacrificed to be great, and he's showing it in a whole secondary aspect is just absolutely beyond tippable. It doesn't give him enough credit for how sick it is that he's finding success to this level in something so new. It's crazy. It's absolutely absurd.
Unfortunately, the championship standings... Oh, no, are they updated now? Yeah, okay, here we go. So these are the championship standings after Daytona. His first race didn't go to plan, but he bounced back on the second race. So this is his series. Yeah, I think this is actually right. So here you go. The IMSA, it also was live on Peacock. It was live on NBC. They streamed it live on YouTube as well. So like anyone could actually watch along the races, which is pretty cool because obviously in some of the lower series, they don't really get broadcast like that. But yeah, here's Ian Porter as he goes by. P8 in the championship, but a lot of the drivers above him were like in a class above him, basically. So I think in his... After the race on the Sunday, Porter bounced back a lot, and he's got 5 more rounds. So the next round is at the Circuit of the Americas, then it goes to Mid-Ohio, and then it finishes at Road Atlanta. So yeah, I don't know. It's just pretty cool that I could even find this stuff on the internet because the championship was racing it before, you couldn't really see it, but this is on the official like IMSA website. So yeah, shout out Ian Porter, my goat. Long may it continue. We also got to talk about this. We mentioned this on the pre-show on Friday, but I wanted to do a bit more of a deep dive, certainly with the chat here, because I was intrigued by the reaction to this whole Envy situation as it was unfolding, especially when it comes to what potentially next with OpTic and whatever that means. So if you guys didn't see this, on Friday, Hastro confirmed that Envy is back, Dallas Empire is back. The understanding here is that it's kind of a bit similar to when Hex lost OpTic to Infinite Esports, but he managed to acquire back the OpTic brand, the rights to the brand, but without necessarily the assets behind the brand. And it seems like that's what Hastro's been able to do here. So this is a really cool day for esports, I think, because as much as Hastro effectively saved OpTic in many respects by giving them the ability to partner with Envy when the time came a couple of years ago that OpTic needed it and keeping OpTic alive, it was a loss to esports that we lost Dallas Empire, we lost Envy as a brand, because such a legendary brand, certainly from the time that I've been following esports, Call of Duty especially. So Astro says he was given the chance to reacquire the brands. And so Envy are back in some form. They're playing the Apex Legends World Championship. I don't know what it means for CoD, but it's obviously a talking point. Hastro made it very clear in the replies he will not be a shareholder. He is no longer associated with OpTic, as it used to be, seemingly behind the scenes. My team will gain access to the social media accounts for the brands next week. So presumably that means as of today and thereafter. So Ace, what are your thoughts on this? First of all, Envy back with Hastro. I don't know what it means for OpTic is another question, but could we see Envy back in CoD?
See, I think that's, for us, the most important question, whether to see a legendary brand like Dallas Empire and Envy come back in. there's championships under that team. There's big names that have been associated with that brand. So I would personally love to see him come back into Call of Duty, but realistically, I don't think it's the time or the place where someone who is financially savvy, like Hastro, would find the reason to come back to CDL just yet. I think there's going to be a moment of, I'm not call it desperation, but where there's going to be someone that's really needing an out of the league, and then he'll come up and eventually come in. I don't think it's going to be like next year, for example. Secondary, this is going to be an interesting twist of it all, but I do think, because technically this was all under the OpTic Envy combination, right? If he says he acquired the rights again, I mean, who did he technically pay?
Well, that's a good point, given that you'd think he was paying himself, but obviously...
Right.
The thing is, I guess with Hastro, because Envy took on so much capital through VCs and whatever, the fact that they had this massive facility in the heart of downtown Dallas, I imagine Hastro did not own, the percentage of the brand that he used to. So maybe there was something in that. But I know what you mean. This is quite confusing, actually.
Yeah. They also wouldn't come back as Dallas Empire because OpTic own the rights to the Texas state.
Yeah, that's also true. But then do the league care about that anymore? Both LA teams are in LA.
Yeah, but they're good.
They could
unless
be
they're
that.
called Texas
right.
Empire.
You're right.
Unless they're called Texas Empire, which would be kind of crazy. It'd be like beef between Hastro and X at that point.
That would be beef. But there already is.
Because it's kind of crazy to me because I'd love to know how they're like. Either Hastro's like, I want to get back to being an owner back on, for myself, or did him and Hex have a falling out, and then Hastro comes back and they're called OpTic Texas, he's called Texas Empire, and it's just it's about it's crazy.
I'll be down.
It's like the two big daddies coming going at it.
No, it's a very good question. I think Hastro took a step back from the org. To deal with some other stuff and focus on different things, but now in the same way that Hex was, he wants to help grow the organization that he invested his whole life into building in many respects. I know Lloyd was saying in the chat earlier about how maybe when the merger happens, there was an expectation, and there was, to be fair, this was a big talking point, that OpTic will expand into other games, that expand into other esports, like OpTic and Envy together are going to be super strong. They're going to be, a strong partner in this game, in that game, in the other game, but we don't see those orgs in CS or in Valorant. And to be fair, the Valorant thing was, I don't know how much Hastro or Hex is to blame, but we know that when they applied for the Valorant franchising, that didn't go to plan. Someone messed up the application. It never happened. But, the bottom line is that OpTic, I actually see this quite a lot. We don't really talk about it as COD fans because obviously OpTic's COD team is no problem. But I see lots of people on the OpTic Reddit talking about how they don't think OpTic's in a very good spot at the moment because they're not expanding into other games. They've only got OpTic and Halo nowadays, really. There was even questions whether they were going to continue in Halo. It's not like they're dropping, mind-blowing level content and stuff. It's obviously a lot of podcasts. And I got no complaints about the way that OpTic handle things from a COD perspective, but I can understand that if I was an OpTic fan who was just like an OpTic fan and wanted OpTic to be everywhere, then I wouldn't be very happy about the way that it's gone. And I think that Hastro might be in a similar boat, that he's like, look, we did this merger, OpTic took over all the branding, Empire is now, Envy is dead, and what do I really have to show for it? It's not like the organization is making massive strides. And then we saw a couple of months ago, OpTic moved back to the Hex quarters, right? So they moved out of the facility in Dallas, which made sense probably from a budget perspective, but maybe that was a bit of a sign that things were going in an interesting way. And just before I hand it back, pay cuts on top of it. And then the thing that interests me really is, given that Hex and Hastro were business partners in this for a couple of years, I would have expected Hex to at least retweet the announcement, right? I know that it's not OpTic, but, it's been a big part of OpTic's history. So I was expecting Hex to be been great working with you, Stro. You know, best of luck with Envy or something. But we didn't get any of that. So, you know, the cogs in my head are turning and saying that there's more to this than meets the eye, but maybe I'm reading into it too much, Ace.
No Pred tweet, no Envy tweet, no retweet. I don't know. There's a very, I don't know. For me, again, that Trey kind of said what I was thinking in my head. The pay cut situation too. Is it if he had to reacquire the rights to use Envy? That kind of sounds like he had to pay someone something to do that. It doesn't sound like it's something that's free. So is OpTic actually in a place where, you know, they're needing a little bit of money, or they're, you know, they're a little bit on the back foot? I'm not going to say they're at the, you know, any teetering point. I don't have any knowledge there, but it is a little bit worrisome that pay cuts are there. Again, we're seeing, we saw some of their staff get let go. Now we're seeing pieces of their collaboration separate, be reacquired. Is there more trouble in the green wall than we think, or is it deeper than what we think? I feel like it might be.
Potentially. It's scary because, and someone in the chat, Eclipsey, said, Shotzi already makes 1 million a year from Twitch and YouTube. Why does a pay cut matter? Don't look at his other his other revenue should not matter to OpTic, realistically, or to him. OpTic's the brand, of course, but he's putting in all that work to make all that money. You know, just because he makes a lot of money. That's like saying, like, oh, you know, Shotzi, you make a shit ton from Twitch and YouTube. We shouldn't even pay you. You're fine. You'll be fine with our OpTic salary. That's what we're getting at. It's all of them had to take a pay cut. They let people go. Now Hastro is not there. Kind of crazy.
No, people in the chat saying that he actually did mention it on the watch party, which is good to know. So yeah, it's nice to hear that there's, I don't know, I expected maybe something else, and it'd be nice to see. We'll see where it goes. It's just for OpTic again. I get these. It's the same thing again, right? Like we saw it happen before when he was forced to partner with NRG to make the CDL thing happen with Chicago Huntsman. They did that. Then as soon as it became inconvenient, that partnership broke apart. My favorite podcast probably in the history of esports was whatever it was called with Hex and Andy Miller. They used to do a podcast where, because they were co-CEOs at the time, and they would talk about the business of esports, and like that was kind of just as I was getting into the scene a little bit more, building the channel. I used to find it fascinating. I was even trying to like ask them questions and that. Like I loved that podcast. Then obviously it just kind of stopped out of nowhere because they had a big falling out when Hex decided that, you know, OpTic was better off elsewhere. He partners with Hastro, and I remember at the time, as soon as it happens, there was talk about, well, you know, is this going to last forever, right? Like, are we going to be in a position a couple of years down the line where OpTic are merging with somebody else? You know, is Hastro losing Envy for no reason? I think that's the good thing about this, is that Envy as an org is still going to exist now in Hastro's hands. What that means for OpTic, I really don't know. But I don't. It's difficult to imagine that it can be a good thing. You know, maybe it's fine for OpTic because they've kind of seized control of the assets that were once Envy's, and now Hastro's disappearing to do his own thing, and OpTic are going to be okay. But even that, you know, you're still losing Hastro, who was surely a valuable piece of the organization in some respects, even from like a business management perspective, and now he's no longer part of the org. So yeah, it's just business stuff, isn't it? It's esports, it's complicated, but it doesn't fill me with confidence, to be honest.
Yeah, someone else in the chat, Harrison, said, everyone took pay cuts. Are you not concerned about everyone else? I'm absolutely concerned about the entire league. We've talked about it multiple times on the show, how the health of the league is a big issue we always bring up and talk about. But it's a lot more worrisome when the organization that's the face, has been the face, is the one that's supposed to be the most stable of this league, right? If OpTic goes down, what does that mean for the league? You have to really consider the difference in scale of, if I don't know, let's say Legion took a cut versus OpTic takes a cut. Very different things to consider. And then the Shotzi take two, someone said, guys, if you sign a contract with someone, you yourself, and you sign a contract and you sit there and it's 2 years, $100,000 every year. And then 1 year passes, you get your 100 grand. The second year, your boss comes, hey, buddy, hey, bud, if you could take 70 grand this year, it'd be great. That's a little, it doesn't matter if I made 100 grand elsewhere. We have a contract. This is signed. This is signed paperwork. Obviously, if they could pay me, they would. But again, you have to read between the lines and see what's being said here. Not only with this Hastro reacquisition, with the tweet that Rab had up about how the MLG formats, how they used to shine. Read between the lines of everything happening and tie it together, because I feel like a lot of people are trying to avoid the truth of what's being shown here.
Yeah, I mean, this tweet, as you're saying, Hastro is talking about the open ecosystem. And I mean, he was talking about this a week ago before everything got confirmed. And I mean, in hindsight, it's like, I wonder why Hastro was making a bit of a return to the timeline and talking about how an open ecosystem would be the way to go. Because he doesn't want to pay millions of dollars to buy into this league. He would prefer, A, the league expands and he can get a slot basically for free, which is probably not impossible, but it still seems a bit unlikely. Or option 2, the league moves to a position where it's not really a league anymore in the same way, and Envy can operate as, in the open circuit effectively. Kind of, remember Black Ops 4 when there was the Pro League qualifier, right? Like there were no selected franchise teams, even though it was kind of pseudo-franchising that year, but you had to qualify for the Pro League. FaZe famously didn't qualify. And then they had to buy their way back in, which is basically what they did halfway through the season. But, I think Hastro would like a world where that's kind of what happens. He doesn't have to pay to buy into the league, but he simply forms a good team at the start of next season. The format is radically different, and we have some sort of qualification for the Pro League. Envy can qualify, and we go from there. And I think it would be Envy. As much as I love the Dallas Empire brand, I think, Hastro's org is Envy. Dallas Empire was made because it was forced, did a killer job with it. Maybe they could use it elsewhere. But in the same way that, like, Huntsman still, like, semi-exists with OpTic, they did the occasional merch thing with the Huntsman logos on. So maybe there's something like that for Envy and an Empire. People are also talking about if they bought out one of the franchises, because we know that Boston were thinking about maybe calling it a day. Obviously, the rumours that they were going to for sure, but they've stuck around, but they're not running an event, so that kind of says something. Ravens as well are in the conversation too. Obviously, if Gwyn doesn't get his additional 9 wins tray and Ravens disappear, then like that could be a good thing to root for.
I'm so back.
That could be good. When he gets Ravens player of the history. So yeah, it's a talking point. I'll just, as I pass back to you, Ace, I'm just going to put this image up on the screen, which is, as Swag Chicks put up here, this is Pred in a Dallas Empire jersey.
I saw that. That was a good one. Someone else, Howie's in chat, said, does COD benefit and become healthier if they move back to the CWL versus staying as the CDL? It's a good question. And I think it does benefit greatly from going back to the old format, because don't take it from me. Don't take it like this is an Ace opinion. I'm also basing it on my opinion, also with the backup of the tweet we just saw from Hastro, a guy who knows the scene and knows what it takes to grow an organization, right? Making things open format means people could join your league or create a team and try out, test the space out. Like Rap said, it's millions of dollars if you want to enter in. There's these massive salaries. There's a big wall to try to enter in the COD scene and make a dent at all. That's a problem. You open it to an open format, open bracket. Everyone can play everyone possibility. You'll have orgs that have left COD. Even maybe, if anyone remembers Team Caliber, TK, for example. I'm sure, there's people like that, defunct, quote-unquote, orgs that would probably try to come back and try to make a name for themselves, get a team that could make a run, get into that top 16, top 8 conversation. Some new talent would be like, I'm going to throw this to Trey too. Like, wasn't some of the the attraction of going to a CWL event as like an amateur or even a European player that maybe wasn't at the top spot just yet, that there was a chance that you could make pool play and play the pros? Wasn't that part of like the fun of it all, trying to get to that slot? Like, would you agree?
So I have two takes on the CWL CDL thing. I think we would need the best of both worlds. I'm okay with having open play, whatever like that. Did anyone really make it from open play and do anything in pool play? Not really, no. If we're being honest, the whole sitting there and saying, oh, you know, everyone has they have a chance against the pro. We've done this for years. The open play, the open bracket teams, they had no shot. Realistically, the success rate for them to even make it out of pools was, I would love the numbers on it, but
1%.
Realistically, they weren't coming up against the pros. Now it's exciting seeing a new team come through and playing against the pros, but realistically, they weren't doing anything. The thing I like about it is the fact that the orgs can go back to not having to spend 25 million to get a spot. I think that's what really did kill the scene, because a lot of these orgs that can fund teams to go to these tournaments, they weren't even going to be able to play against the pro teams anyway, which I feel like that was another aspect of an organization, an amateur organization, to even fund teams. You know, they could treat it like an academy team, for example. You could send a team out to an event, they could play against pros, and boom, a pro team might see a player that is in pool play smoking pro players. Next thing you know, they buy that player from an amateur team, let's say for 15, 20K. Guess what? They've made 15, 20K on an amateur organization. That's where I feel like the ecosystem would come through. It would allow amateur teams to be able to sell players to pro teams. But another issue is the fact that these players are on so much money these days. Would players even want to, you know, go back to making $3,000-$4,000 a month? Like on FaZe, when they joined the league, I was making $10,000 a month, which was insane. And then New York, I go and make $20,000 a month. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? And then, you know, and that's just me. So imagine what everyone else is on. And then the more the league goes on, the more the people realize the money's not there. It's dying out, and now everyone's dribbling down salary, trickling down. But they're still on pretty decent salaries. To go back to a CWL route, like the money people are making, it's gonna be it's gonna crash heavily. And I would love to see it come back. I think the ecosystem would be crazy for the other organizations that don't have to pay absurd amounts of money. I think we'd see an influx in players and people coming back, and organizations come back like TK. You know, they could definitely fund a team. I miss the days when it was like, yo, Trey, we got Control Freak sponsorship. Like, we can pay you an extra like £200 this month. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
All right, we locked in. I like both aspects, but like, I don't like the take of, you know, oh, these players had a chance in pool play. They didn't. They really didn't. Like,
I think it's a healthier ecosystem, but like,
yeah,
you know, I agree with your take.
For one main reason of people being like, yo, like the amateurs can come through and smoke the pros. It didn't happen.
There was a couple of teams that were notable.
And if it did, they were pro teams in pool play, which was like us. The EU teams didn't even get to play in the pro player bracket. We had to go for open bracket for like 2 years straight.
Yeah, I hear you. And there was, I don't know, I was just thinking about the story that like really makes me wish those times or miss those times was Gunless's team, right? Like when United were coming through, and it was Gunless, Arcetes, and Pristini. No one had heard of them. They'd played at Black Ops 3 Champs on like Apotheon Esports or something, and they'd come like top 24. And then the next year they bring Gunless in, and he's like unreal at Infinite Warfare. Arcetes and Pristini are good as well, but no one's even heard of these guys ever. And like no one knows what they look like. They turn up to, they're playing all the online 2Ks, and they're playing OpTic in the finals. They're like super competitive with the OpTic team in the finals, and people are like, oh, these guys must be onliners. Is Gunless cheating or something? And no one had heard of them. And then they picked up Silly, and they turn up to the first event in Atlanta, and they make a run to the grand finals. They nearly, actually no, they won that one, then they lost the Dallas one, and it's pretty rare that it happens. But like those kind of stories don't exist in the ecosystem as it currently exists, and I think it would be healthier for all parties. Especially, as you say, the reality is the salaries have to be attainable. I think what annoys me is that the salaries have come down for the pros a bit this year, and you'd think as a consequence they might be, streaming more, playing more rates, I don't know, doing something extra. They're not really, right? They're doing less. So, like, if the salaries come down even more, if we completely get rid of the CDL and it becomes open circuit again, which is probably what would happen, I don't know what happens next, but...
Now, some people in the chat
Midnight
not
Esports
knowing,
is a good shout.
some people in the chat not knowing really like the background.
Parzelion.
Listen, I came from open bracket. I'm agreeing with you guys that we need that. How I like the way they ran the league in Black Ops 4 for the qualifiers. It was a fair shot for everyone. They came in on pro points. It was qualifiers. If you didn't make it, you didn't make it. It wasn't gifted spots. Like you said, FaZe didn't even make it. Shout out. Thank you for that, yeah. That's what I like about it. So that's why I'm saying we need to bring both aspects in. The CDL, it ain't great, but the CWL wasn't the best either. I think there's aspects you can take from the CWL and the CDL together, and it would be fire.
There's one thing both of y'all are saying that I just can't like. There needs to be some clarity in a sense, because half the league is on like $5,000-6,000 a month, bro. When you say the salaries are unobtainable, why is that unobtainable?
I don't know what the salaries are. If that's but you're probably about right, to be fair. I don't see why.
Yeah, but I don't know what the salaries are either.
Yeah.
But the salaries would have to come down because they haven't got multi-billion-dollar investors.
No, sure, but like you said, back in the day, you were making $3,000-4,000, right? 10 years later, if a team you're paying a guy $5,000-6,000, is it really that much of a difference? To be honest,
with inflation, it's probably less.
It's yeah. Honestly, you're probably underpaying him. To be honest, literal goddamn plumbers are making more than the COD players, than COD professionals.
No, that's my point though. Is obviously pro players are just gonna have to accept it, but like that's that high. Started off like on Infuse, I was making £100 a month.
What game was this? How many years ago?
Yeah, 3.
Black Ops 3.
£100 a month?
What a team! Though.
I had an argument where we made the league and we had a meeting with the league and we was like, because everyone else around us was on like 1.5k minimum and we was on £100.
Oh my god!
And we had a meeting with the league and we were like, is there anything we can do about this? And they were like, you would have to qualify online to make the league. And I was like, I back myself, but I ain't backing myself online. We're dealing with the Frenchies, we're dealing with the Spanish. Like,
yeah.
I'll sit my pretty ass over there making £100 a month in the league.
Yeah.
My point. I know the players aren't on as much anymore, but my point is like, with the way COD is right now, with viewership and stuff like that, what money is there?
Agreed, but you all were saying like, or no, I'm saying that it's come to a point now where if we reformatted to a CWL format, the salaries now are actually obtainable for an entry, not like a random guy off the street with an org, but let's say a TK comes back in. Let's say not some of these orgs are completely gone, but I'm just naming names like Red Reserve, Echo Fox. These guys back in the day were paying players $3,000 for Elevate, paying players $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month.
Red Reserve.
I weren't getting paid.
Were they paying?
Actually, Red Reserve is a bad example. My bad example. But,
yeah, they can't come back. No one getting paid.
Yeah. My bad. Bad example with including them. But generally, I was making a blanket statement of just a lot of those teams at the time, Rise Nation, a lot of these guys were paying players about just a little bit under what half the league is getting paid now. So I think right now would be a perfect time for a CWL format to come back and actually have a chance of players being successful, because they would want to play for other orgs because they actually might get the same or more money with maybe more support. So it's an interesting time in COD, and I think it's one where if some game changers like Hastro and these guys want to come in and make really make a wave, this would be the time to do it. Like it's building up to something big.
My last point on it is the fact that like Rab, you've seen it, Ace, you've seen it. Sponsors are dropping out left, right, rhubarb.
Yeah.
How are people gonna even be able to obtain these salaries and stuff like that if they, let's say they don't want like crazy investors that just like want 60% of the company, they want to hold it themselves. Take Hastro for example. You know, they can get sponsors or whatever like that, but like even like the older teams coming in like 6K, like 6K a month for a player. I don't think TK is obtaining that.
It's not easy from a spot. Like if you think about it, right? Let's say 6K a month. You got 4 players. You got a coach. Like we're talking, all right, 30K a month. Couple other expenses in there. So we've got to cover that through sponsorships. Not that easy to do. I mean, look, the only way to do it is by gambling sponsors, basically, with the way that esports currently is. That's option 1. Option 2 is Saudi. Like you partner with someone, or you're a team who's in the esports World Cup. If you're partnered, maybe that's an option as well. But
you see where I'm going with it, right?
But yeah, the VC money doesn't exist anymore as it used to. Because the VCs all got burned. That's how it is. Like all these VCs came in 2019, 2020. And even if there are genuinely good business models in esports, they don't want to go anywhere near it. They all lost a shit ton of money investing in these esports teams 5 years ago. They do not want to go anywhere near investing money in esports anymore. So good luck finding anything that works.
And then you got to look at like event costs too. I mean, like now to see it, like, you know, like I said, Infuse wasn't the greatest time of my life. Like, you know, we had one hotel room for the 6 of us, and that's what we were doing in a pro league. You know, I got paid an Astro flat jacket 1 month. You know, and that was like we deemed that as prime time, like Black Ops 3 CWL. We deemed that as prime time. I don't know. I want to know what we're in now.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, Ace, you have to build a team. Dallas Empire are coming back into the league. One of these orgs just dropped out. You get to build a team today. Who are you signing?
I love when you do that with the pred picture on the screen.
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
That's a good one. Yeah, I'm picking up AG, iLLeY. Which team is getting removed?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Let's say Falcons decide that they're gonna partner with, oh, that wouldn't even work. I don't know. Envy Falcons. It's a new merger.
Another merger. Yeah, a brand new merger. We got reacquired the next day. You know.
Yeah. So yeah, it's Falcons are gone. So you could pick up like Exnid or something, or Khalid or whatever.
Yeah, okay. If that's the case, then I would say AG, Exnid, iLLeY. Damn, who's my flex here? Who's a good flex?
iLLeY's your flex twin.
Oh, my bad. Who? Encourage? Is Encourage?
Yeah, I think he's an AR. You could pick him up.
Yeah, Encourage.
Chat saying good strat.
I haven't seen him play this year. I saw him play a little bit, like just random things last year. Nothing much this year though. Flames and ASIM? Nah, that would be my team.
But no one's mentioned ASIM so far. Is he alright? Like, how's he doing in challenges? Does anybody know? Because usually ASIM start of a game, like he's in the convo, right? But maybe the flank stopped talking about him because they got roasted last year. Too bad. Roxas
is crazy, but speaking of pred, I mean, should we talk about it? Can I talk about it now or just save it for later? Like what?
Crack on.
Yeah. Speaking of pred, man, it's an interesting actual like situation going on here because, I mean, if anyone saw the LA Thieves match, somebody got gunned for the loss.
Oh.
And I'm spitting narratives because I'm continuing spitting narratives.
Wow, Chowder with the 5. Chowder with the 5. Breaking Point memberships gifted. W's in the chat, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, shout out. Hey, congrats to Taco, Tom, for show, Rad, and Brutus Welcome to the
Let's go.
dopies.
Appreciate all of you.
But nah, for real, like you got to consider who got gunned. You know, I have been a guy who's just in a funny way saying that him going at Thieves sounds impossible, right? It sounds like something like they already built a super team. How much more super can it get? Realistically, it could get more super, son. I think Envoy is hanging on by the skin of his teeth. OpTic are kind of weird because they look really bad sometimes, but then they look insane, unbelievable sometimes. It's all going to be on Major 1 what happens, but there is a real world possibility in my mind that Pred ends up on LAT if they perform badly, and there's a real world possibility he ends up back on OpTic if they don't perform well at Major 1. But again, there's a superstar sitting out right now that is an asset to every team in the league. He's going to shake it up, except unless he goes back to OpTic and it's just kind of a reset, whatever. If he doesn't, though, if OpTic perform well, this league is going to get shaken up in a way that people don't expect.
Yeah, we'll get to that series in more detail soon, but I definitely do want to talk about this like Pred coming back thing real quick, because Yoda King was in Pred's chat talking, and he says, let's get our chem up, gotta start early. Okay, he's joking around a little bit, right? But the point is, and I think there's been people saying that Pred has he's been trying to get involved in some local tourneys back in Australia. Like he's still trying to play, still trying to compete a little bit. So it seems like he's gearing up for the grand return, but it's just I don't have enough details to comment on what that would look like, right? But I mean, look, some teams gotta be interested.
I think we're faded on the LA Thieves take and stuff like that. I don't see him joining LA Thieves. I don't see him going back to OpTic. If you look at who LA Thieves have lost to, it's the top 3 teams that we see in the league every single year. It's, not top 3, sorry. It's just top 2, OpTic and FaZe. It's a toss-up between who wins those series. Do I see Pred coming back? I do. Do I see it for LA Thieves or OpTic? No. There's only one team I see it for.
All
and
right,
it could be a double, and it could be a double change.
Well, it looks like it's about time, ladies and gentlemen. We are diving into the matches. Let's begin on the Friday. We had, let's go complete it. We had to start off the weekend, Gentlemates versus Cloud9. My favorite team versus my other favorite team. And all I'm going to say, Ace, is the gameplay issues have been resolved. They have been resolved with a hot little 3-0.
Hey, I wish we had the clip of what I said before we ended the stream last time. But if you want me to reenact it.
Go ahead. Well, I'm pulling up something, so go ahead. I'm listening.
Ace and Rab both said Cloud9 were going to win. Ace said, nah, Cloud9's winning this gameplay issues fixed 3-0. I said, listen, LAG are coming out there smoking them, and Priest is going to have a game of his life. Pull up those stats real quick.
He knows ball. I don't understand how, but he just knows
Pull
gun,
up
this guy.
those stats real quick.
He knows gun.
Everyone laughed at me. Ace goes, Priester? Nice try. He's been getting tucked. I know bull.
Game 1, Priester Masterclass, 1.45. Game 2, Priester Masterclass, 1.33. Game 3, Priester Masterclass, 1.00 for the 3-2 dub. Yeah, I mean, this was quite the series. I mean, watching that Game 1 was pretty painful. Game 2, they lost. Game 3, they lost as well. Hot 3-0'd by a team who also went on to get pretty much slammed the next day by Toronto. Not the greatest.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
You know,
they got their one in.
They got their one. But look, the numbers don't lie. Cloud9 are currently sitting at 1-5. These are their match results so far. They have they beat Surge at the minor. Congratulations. And they beat Minnesota in the qualifiers. But every other game they've lost. A couple of 3-2s, couple of 3-0s, and a 3-1 on the opening weekend of the season. So, Yeah, there you go. Cloud9, your new team on what they used to say on the breakdown, thin ice. And Ace has been spending the last couple of days working on his justification for why they're playing so bad. So I want to see what ChatGPT has cooked up for Ace.
ChatGPT. Okay. So, C9 is losing terribly. They've had some definite heartbreaking losses, but here, okay, so go to their. So I need Rab to have this up so we can corroborate around what I'm saying.
All right, you want me to look at numbers?
No, go to the team stats and then take out their first 2 losses. So if we did this last year a few times.
Oh, come on.
Relax. Let me cook
I
you
told
second.
you, mate. I told you we've done this. Wait, how do I do
I
this?
wasn't getting interrupted. Why am I getting interrupted?
Why did I
What's going on here?
Oh, can I untick these?
Yeah, you can untick the first 2
Oh,
games.
okay. It's not. I mean, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Fire
So
ahead.
listen. Besides playing their first 2 matchups against like 2, you're gonna call them top 3, top 2 in the entire league, right? If you take that out and look actually in account of what they've been playing, this is what my criticism is gonna be here, directed well. Their hard point is actually decent. Their hard point, they're actually 7-3. They're playing good hard point. That's the valid part. So that's the highlight of all this. They're not a bad hard point team. They can shoot. But then you take a look at their S&D record and their control record. They can't win a goddamn vault, and they just can't win an S&D. And the S&D losses they've had have been definite breakdown S&D losses. So
2 modes you need to be really good at their ass.
100%. We're agreeing there. But I'm saying there's a highlight case that their hard point is decent. Usually if a team's hard point is good, and Trey, I'm hoping you can speak on that too. If your hard point is good, you can usually figure out your S&D and your control later on, because it means you can shoot, but somebody's just not thinking, or people are making bowhanded plays a lot of time. You're not getting straight gunned. So I'm not saying anything they're doing is fully acceptable. 1-5 is dog shit, and they are dog shit currently. That's true. However, it's early in the season. There is a highlight to be noticed, right? 7-3 after the first week. That's something positive to say. Going into the major is going to be the big tell. And again, from the last week, I know they lost. Obviously, they lost their series, but we see Dante actually putting up some good Dante numbers. Mac is still definitely one of the best players in the game. I don't care what people have to say about that. You could be a really great player on a bad team. I'm sticking by that. If you're gonna hate on talent, that's a you problem. I never said Snoopy was not talented. I said he was boneheaded. You understand what I'm saying? Talent exists here, right? They just got to get it together. S&D, it's gonna take some time. They got Tupac Thudlord, one of the greatest, the most prized S&D player of all time, coaching them out. So I have a lot of hope for this team going into Major 1 and ahead. And any C9 fans out there, I know you're hurting. Trust me, I'm hurting too. But 7-3 hard points is a little bit of a concession for some positive and a lot of negative.
Listen, all right. You do make some good points. I ain't gonna hold you. Those were, they are an okay hard point team based on their stats.
They played
But
Ravens
being
twice,
bad
though.
at-
Fraudulent hard point team.
Yeah, fraudulent. Listen. The issue is here, all right. We had our talk at the start of the year about we weren't too sure on this team because of the subs. I know you were okay with it, Ace, and I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wrong. The subs ain't the issue. The ARs are the issue. And they got to figure it out in the S&D aspect, because you look at Sib, you look at Attach, both S&D players, like really good S&D players on different teams. You look at Attach back in the day, one of the nicest S&D players you've seen. Their S&D don't look good. They don't look like they're working together. And if they don't sort it out for Major 1, I believe there will be roster changes for this team.
I mean,
They're not in a position. They're not in a position to work on anything because they're 1-5.
If you're
go
shooting
on.
back, go ahead. Go ahead, Rip. Go
No,
ahead.
I just thought like I was looking through the numbers, and I ticked. Well, I said I was okay. If we're gonna cherry pick series, I'll just tick the series that they won, and Sib still has a .83 somehow. But obviously the gameplay issues have resolved since then, so I just thought it was kind of
Cloud9 is
kind
one
of
of 3
impressive.
teams that average under 200 points per hard point.
How does that make sense? So they're 7 if they're
Well,
they're
the
7
thing
and
is-
6 if you include the other
Yeah,
series.
they're
but,
7
like,
and 6. Yeah, I'm guessing they just got kind of choke slammed on occasion. I just think like okay, even if we take out the first 2 series they played, and I know the Ravens are alright, but like they have played RØKKR, Surge, Ravens, Gorillas, Miami. Like it's not exactly an impressive run of teams that they've played recently, in my opinion. But they do.
Again, I agree with the takes here, and one of the flip side issues that I think is a problem is if you keep it as checked with those first 2 unchecked out, right, of the matches since that first week. Take a look at the S&D. Mac is actually one of their worst S&D player. So you have a guy that's frying on one end, but then yeah, he's the bomb player. He's usually your first guy out sliding around. But I'm just saying he's the one getting cooked up a little bit.
I'd
And
be
you said
fuming
Dante.
if I was him.
You said Dante's a great S&D player. I mean, I would kind of disagree with you in that sense. I think Dante's a respawn player. S&D is not really his strong suit. I'm just speaking. People say I'm coping or like there is C9 cheese. Obviously, there is a bit of C9 cheese, but I'm gonna say it how it is. He's not the best S&D player in the world. I wouldn't give that to him. Which is why, again, when you have 2 guys, when you have respawn stars, S&D is gonna be an issue. And early on in this game, that plays relatively different in S&D than a lot of years past because of the routes you can take. It's going to take a lot more time to learn it. And that's why I have hope. Again, they have a good coaching staff, not only with Lamar, but they have Tupac Thuglord specifically for S&D. Maybe a roster change isn't coming. Maybe that is true. I love that name, bro. But
any thoughts on his tweet for the weekend? Do you see this tweet, Trey?
Yeah. This tweet is amazing. One of the best ones I've seen in a while.
Imagine his team's like, yo, Pac, why'd you say that? He's like, it's fucking true.
Insane take for Tupac, but he's not actually wrong. These guys are not playing well in Surge.
This is essentially, I mean, he said it as blatant as possible. I'm saying on this show too, the way they play S&D is brain dead. It's absolutely brain dead. It's very clear. There's a lot of overthought situations, and they've blown a lot of maps. So as much as 1-5 is 1-5, but it's early in the season, and I think there is a lot of positives that going forward are going to help out. And if a team change comes and it's for who we possibly think it is, if AG's coming in, if that's the possible rumor that he's coming in, I mean, I think that can only help them. And with or without that change, I think this Major 2 stint is going to be really different for them, and they're gonna turn it around big time.
I think the question for me really is I look at the team and I think, okay, what do I do? What do I do to fix it? But also, is it possible that, especially the losses they had, it's just difficult losses to justify, right? Because General Mates hadn't got a win on the board yet. Miami, like, you know what you expect from Miami, but losing to Miami in 5 is criminal behavior because their search and destroy was woeful. And Mac's been playing good cards. Obviously, Sib and Attach, we can talk about them all day. I think Attach is an interesting player to me because Sib's obviously not been great, but Attach is, like, it was a talking point last year. Numbers were good. Impact maybe was a bit of a question for me, and it's been the case for Attach for some time now. And I still feel that way when I watch him in this game. I think there's a select few AR players that their playstyle in the last couple of titles has kind of been passable. Like, they've been on the border of kills versus impact or whatever, but on this game, you need to play with some pace. We see what happens with FaZe when Cellian plays slow or when Cellian plays fast. It's a completely different team you're watching. And Cell says that he's been working hard on that. I think there's a few ARs in this game. I think Skies is one of them. I think Insight's probably one of them. I think maybe Attach is one of them as well, where they just are too slow to have any real impact. And I also don't know what Sib's doing on that either. So my concern is really, when I look at this team, is okay, if you're going to make a roster change, which they may well need at some point, what happens? Because Accuracy is the coach. He's boys with Sib. They've played together before. Great boys with Attach. Been teammates, friends, long time. Played with Mac before. Crimp, if anything, is the odd man out, but arguably Crimp's been their best player, certainly in the conversation. But then if Pred's coming in, Crimp would be the guy you look to replace, probably. But, does that move the needle? Do you think about maybe putting, Mac to a flex, saying Attach is going to go to the bench, you bring in Pred, you bring in, somebody else? I don't know. Like, obviously, iLLeY might be available in the same way that OpTic picked up a Hook, and that's proven to be very good for them. Another team could have done it before them. Maybe Cloud9 will think, well, we can't miss the chance to get Pred, can't miss the chance to get iLLeY now that they're available before somebody else gets them. It's a fair assessment, but I think my concern is that when this Cloud9 team makes a change, I don't know if they're going to make the right change, but I'm not necessarily sure what that is.
If people watch the series and watch them play, there's a lot of just bonehead plays they're making. Again, as this game develops and people learn, the team is full of competent players, and again, competent coaching staff that will pick up on things faster than a lot of the other bottom half of the league. The analysts on this team are good, the coaches are good, the S&D coach is good, the players are individually good. It's just something, the recipe hasn't come together yet, which is why even at 1-5, to me, it's not the end of the world. But if they go to the major and they don't perform at all there, they don't even win, they get rounded. Because obviously, I'm assuming they're probably starting in losers. Like, I think it's like almost guaranteed at this point. If they get first rounded at this major, then a team change, I think, has to happen, right? At that point, like, you're just 1-6 and a team change and in a first rounded, then something has to happen. But generally, for the direction of this team for the year, I'm still positive, honestly.
I found a clip. I'm going to play the clip.
Oh God.
They play Falcons and they can get a dub.
There you go. That's what they got to pray on.
I see it happening. I'm seeing it. Priest masterclass.
Dude, this guy's just chatting. Dude, you're just chatting right now. New cam and you're a new man? We're not classic.
I've had this cam a year.
It hasn't been installed.
There you go. It's just too easy for Treyboy Cartier, man. It's just too easy. Their next game, Cloud9, is against Atlanta FaZe. Oh, baby, because you are not wrong, Ace. If they play this series and they lose, and that seems probably what's going to happen, they're definitely starting in losers. Even as it stands, they're probably starting in losers. I mean, these are your current standings. We can have a look at them now. Obviously, we've got more matches to cover today, but just to quickly look at these, Cloud9 are currently sitting 11th in the CDL standings with an 8-16 map count. Even if they 3-0 FaZe and get to 2-5, they'll be 2-5 with an 11-16 map count. I think there's basically 0% chance that's good enough. So they're starting in losers, all but guaranteed. I guess it's a little bit of a question of what seed they'll be in terms of how strong the team is that they will theoretically face from the winners bracket. But yeah, it could be a little bit chalked.
My Vegas Falcons 0 wins on the season's looking good too.
We're gonna get to that in a second. Don't worry.
Bro, how is it that, bro? I know you said the Priest was gonna have a masterclass, but like, damn, bro, how is it this one time this guy decides to shoot back is against them? Like, I don't understand this. It's never gonna happen again, too.
Yeah, because I said it the next series.
What do you mean? I heard they fixed gameplay issues. I was just. You like that prediction though, because at first map we were watching first map stream, we was watching it together, and Ace is going. We go, why did you even say that? Like, why? Like, why is he frying right now?
Yeah, it was the most confusing thing in the world, honestly. When Priesta decided to shoot back, and it also went into something else you said. You remember? If you remember what you said, you said, "I would hate to have a teammate that's ass sometimes, but then looks like the best player on the map sometimes."
Yeah.
That was another thing I thought about when Priesta was playing. I was like, dude, this guy looks like the GOAT right now. He looks like the best player he looks like the best player in the world right now. What is this? How is this popping out randomly at the moment when it looks like he should be dropped?
My thing about it is, why'd I call it? Listen, he was due. He was getting absolutely well started. He was due for a good series, and I just don't think Cloud9's a great team. So it just made sense to me why Priester could run Riot on a Cloud9 team. When I say they don't look good, I mean they don't look like they do teamwork, Ace. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by that. They don't look like their chemistry is on point. So it just allows someone like Priester who's having some off games to, decide to fucking just go off for no reason, realistically. My thing about it is hopefully he takes, that frying ability that we know he can have, and uses it to its ability, and actually starts playing some fucking good COD with this LAG mates team, who I don't think is a great team either. That was battle of the bad teams, in my opinion. Anyone could have won that. Yeah,
the burger
theoretically,
for real. Yeah. All right, but yeah, I mean that's everything about C9, man. Like right now, I think they would even agree that if we called them dog shit right now, end of the day, right now, there's no other real adjective or word to use to describe them other than dog shit right now. But there is a glimmer of hope. There's a bit of sprinkle of sugar on that dog shit. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, I didn't even have to do it, so I'll let Ace cook his own boys. That works for me.
Nah, it's all good.
I mean,
we're still talking about Priester. Like you look.
Yeah,
at
I want to cook their
RØKKR
team a bit. Like I do want to cook these guys because, like, yeah, right. Priester had a generational series against Cloud9, but in most other series, obviously, he has been pretty ass. And they did play. They played Toronto. Yeah, this is the match that they played most recently. And in this one, Priester still went positive actually, but they just were. They got beaten just quite comfortably here, I thought, really. Like, the game 1 wasn't even close. The game 2 wasn't even close. And, okay, fair play. They're actually good at control. But then Toronto closed it out in 4. And if it had gone to the red card, no doubt in my mind, Toronto winning that one as well. Yeah, man, this Gentlemates team, look, we can roast Cloud9 all we want, but Gentlemates are also 1 in 5. And they've just not been good at all. It's difficult for me to kind of fully wrap my head around exactly why they look so lost compared to how they did with Hydra. It's like, yeah, Hydra is that guy, but also he kind of just carried these bums to nearly 2 world championships with them playing like this. Like, there's clearly a bit more to it than that. As I say, I think Skies just does absolutely nothing on the map. And I think it's the same with a couple of other ARs in this game at the moment. Like, I watch his POV and I'm like, I just don't see much impact. And to be honest, in this series, Insight is the same way. Like, I have similar criticisms of Insight to I have of Skies, to I have of Attach, to I have of Celium of a couple of weeks ago, not the Celium that played this weekend. But I think there's a lot of ARs in this game that with the pace of the game, they just got to do something because this, like, the playstyle that Skies is putting down, I'm not picking it up, if that makes any sense.
That was the funniest way to say, I don't know, that phrase, the way you said it was just very interesting. The team is not, to compare Hydra to Linz is kind of crazy. Linz is not even, he's not the same type of player even. And I don't mean that skill-based. I mean, their gun skill is both elite level. Like, Linz is he has elite gun skill. But it's really comes down to the way they play on the map, the type of effective plays they make, the way they read the situations. It's not the same at all. So when you have 2 different dynamics completely, along with, I'm going to say, respectfully, a declining supporting roster as well, it's not really a recipe for success, right? I mean, it should have been a 2-man. If you're going to bring in Linz for the change of Hydra, I think there should have been a 2-man change realistically, and that probably should have been for Priesta as well. I think they would have looked like a lot more of a composed team and refreshed team coming into this year with the support of such a big organization behind them. They could have really made a splash, but they decided to stick it out and change basically nothing with the same coach and same core 3 with one guy who is not the, you had a recipe that worked and you're adding in a new ingredient that's not even similar to the old one. He's just French. It's just another French ingredient, but it's not actually the same type of ingredient at all.
No, I'm simply joking when I call these guys bums, by the way. Like, look, they are world champions at the end of the day. Like, it's tongue-in-cheek. But equally, it's not that they're playing good cards, so.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're only you're only judged by your last week or your last game. So I mean, their world championships are great, but that's like saying Alec is the greatest player in the world right now. He's not. He can't be. You know, you get what I'm trying to say, guys? Like, is iLLeY the best player in the world right now? He has a chip. No, he has potential. These guys have potential to be great, but you still need a good team, a good situation, a good recipe to make it back to more chips. They lost their Michael Jordan. Like, what are you supposed to do? You lost your Messi. You lost your Michael Jordan. It's almost damn near impossible to redo that.
Listen, there's just not another Hydra.
That's what I'm saying. That's
There
exactly
ain't another Hydra.
that's what I'm saying.
I think
There
they
ain't
need
another
another
Hydra.
French player to try and get, like, you know, they need to just
Cobra.
Yeah, bring a Cobra Hydra, pretty similar, like game attack. You know, I think that's what they
Hydra.
need.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Yeah, I'm seeing it.
I'm seeing it.
Then they start beefing on main stage, and
I'll be there.
I'm there, drinking hand. Me and Rab drinking hand.
Hey.
Taking bets.
Mocktail in hand.
This is Rab. This is Rab. This is Rab. I gotta go make a video.
That is an accurate POV.
Running out the
Actually.
venue.
It's a pretty accurate POV. I did just. People are talking about engagements of 10 minutes here, so I want to have a look at that real quick. Because if I'm gonna cook some of these ARs, I guess I better have some numbers to back them up. So let's have a look at some of that. Maybe let's just
I want to say that, like, even the engagements doesn't even matter. It's where they're getting these goddamn engagements.
Yeah, it is a bit of a misleading.
Like you can be a slow player, but still have impact on the map.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like where you're getting them. You know what I'm saying? Is he pushing up the map to go on this head glitch to get that one kill to beat that guy there, or is he sitting back with his schnub nose in his hand, fucking jerking it at the back of the map, letting Hydra or letting Lins or letting a fast SMG die 5 times over before he goes, fucking hell, we should rotate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think Paul X is another one where, like, his numbers aren't incredible. He's not that slow. Like, somehow he's ahead of Simp, which is still kind of blows my mind. But the way that FaZe are playing Hardpoint right now is interesting for sure. And, like, so Simp is here, King of Bodies here and everything. But from, like, an AR side, watching Paul X's arrow, I know that he's not getting many kills, but I swear watching his arrow, like, there is... it's not like he's making some insane play that justifies the KD. And I probably haven't watched the Gentlemates games closely enough to really give like a detailed criticism of Skies, but I used to really like Skies as a player. I felt like he was very underrated. Like on the Mutineers days, even looking back to like LG, Luminosity, back in Black Ops 4, I felt like Skies was a player that people were overlooking as like an actual pretty top tier AR. But over the last couple of years, certainly so far this year, I just think like he's just not anywhere near the level of the top ARs anymore. And I think that's a problem for this team because like they need that, right? Like if Kismet and Lins is your sub duo, it's like sure that they can have some promise, but you need a real superstar AR to take over, and it's not going to be Priest there, so it's got to be Skies. And it's just
I
not.
think Skies should have. I think Sky should have probably changed, like, players or something. Went by his own this year.
Interesting, yeah.
I was gonna actually add on to that too. You kind of took something out of my mouth in a way. I think all those players individually could be great pieces to a team, but together they've ran their course.
Yeah. I don't think bringing Priester back was like, you know, I didn't see Priester join that team and be like, wow, they're going to go back to like world champs, even if they had Hydra on that team. I think that team
probably
still
was
had
the
problems.
strangest decision, actually, was to bring Priester back.
I think that team still had problems. I think Skies is still a very good player. I just think he needs needs some new scenery.
One more thing, if you could for me, Rab, could you go do the top 5 KDs right now? Just one more time?
Absolutely, I can do that. This is probably the best graphic you're going to find right here, but I can click on it for some more detail. So right now, there's a couple of players that are here that won't be for very long because they're not currently active, but nobody has played a full stage yet. So this is these are currently your top KDs in the game, and 4 of the top 5 are OpTic.
Something kind of interesting about it to me though is this is something about the game that I don't know if people would agree or disagree, but there's a big, I feel like there's a slight bias towards the Jackal and the sub players in this game, because normally our top KDs are usually AR leaning, right? A main AR or just someone, you know, like a Celium will be on top, or an AR will typically be, it will be more ARs in the top 5 than subs. But in this game, look at the top 10. Besides DASHY, I mean, DASHY, Celium are there, but it's sub dominated generally. I think something actually needs to be done with the gun balancing in this game, and that's a little bit of a rogue take, but the Jackal's overpowered. I've seen some kills at medium range with the Jackal, and AR is fighting against the Jackal, and they're getting fried.
No, like I'll say it. So when we did that 1v1, I'm running around with the Jackal thinking like this is the greatest gun I've ever used in my life. Like the thing doesn't miss, it doesn't recoil. Like it's just the 74U from Cold War. It's equally strong, and it can, you know, I'm not complaining. I like this. I like a strong sub, but I do think there is a valid complaint, to be fair, because I just want these guns to have some recoil, man. And SMG, it needs to have some bloody recoil. Like, it needs to be a challenge to control.
We haven't had a recoil on SMGs in years, though.
I know.
Even
I don't know. Like,
listen, that AK-74, Cold War SMG was fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably, in my opinion, that was probably the best sub we've had in a lot of CODs. The AK-74U, the MW 2019 fucking MP5. Listen, Rab, we haven't had recoil in SMGs in years.
You're not wrong.
I don't know if recoil is the issue. It's more just
recoil is not the issue. It's how quick people die with the guns at far range. This is my complaint from last year with the Rival 9. The Rival 9 had like bullet drop delay or whatever like that. You know, you could, you wanted to map someone across the map. You could, but it took, I'm not gonna say it took some kind of skill. It really didn't. But like it had somewhat delay.
I hear you.
Yeah.
There's a smidgen, but it wasn't nothing. We've not had recoil in SMGs in so long. The issue is how long it takes to kill someone. It has pretty much the same damage as an AR across the map, realistically. Because they shoot so fast, 2 bullets coming out of that SMG is 1 bullet of an AR. And that's where the damage comes up. And with no recoil, that's an issue too. But remember my complaint last year, Ace? It was, you don't see any SMG players taking SMG routes. Or like being scared to go down a lane because an AR's there. Fuck, Simp goes down a lane, bro. He just guns the AR off the head because he can.
Yeah.
You know, you go back in the day, Rambo looking like that. You know, Rambo would go take a route. If he hits a fucking lane where an AR's at, he ain't challenging it. Yeah, he's like that baby meme where he runs into the room and runs straight back out. He didn't do that these days. They just ego chow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
they are stuck, man. They used
to be how the game is, because even if you were literally scump and you chowed the AR off the heady, your percentage chances to win that gunfight were like 25%. So
I also don't think the ARs suck. This is my thing. I think the maps are so small that it benefits the SMGs and the movement of this game, where you can just dolphin dive, shoot backwards. Listen, Shotzi dolphin dives at you with an SMG, you're dead. DASHY dolphin dives at you with an AR, he might not even fucking aim in.
Probably what it is, right, is that Treyarch look at the numbers from, maybe they don't bother, but they look at the numbers from pubs and they see that the Jackal is probably at a 1.0 flat KD or something close to it, right? Because public match players do not have the movement that these pros have, right? And it's the same thing, and it's been the same way in other COD games.
I don't know these days, Rab. I ain't gonna hold you. These pub players are mental.
Maybe the pub players are mental, but you got to understand that.
I watch them on TikTok, mate. YY 360, 720, like all over the Gaffney.
You're actually right, but also we don't ever get to see the lobbies anymore that we used to be getting in occasionally, when it's like the apps, like the lads and dads coming back from work, right? Like there are still some bot lobbies out there, I promise, but you just don't see them. And imagine you played Black Ops 6 and you never slid around a corner. The game's probably pretty balanced from an AR SMG perspective.
Oh, it's probably class.
It's probably class. But as soon as you add in the movement, you're definitely right that it benefits the SMGs more than the ARs. So I think but the thing is, Treyarch aren't going to consider that in their balancing probably, because they're going to try and balance it for the average player. But to balance it for the pros, I think you are right that the sub needs to be weaker. In my opinion, I think it's an aim assist thing. I think the aim assist should get significantly weaker or disappear after a certain range. That's how it used to be. Like, if I'm on raid and I'm challing out of bottom art and I'm trying to chow the guy, even let's say I go top art and I'm trying to chow the guy top laundry with an MSMC. Like, first of all, I get no aim assist on that gunfight from that range, whereas the AR does. Second of all, the recoil is so much that imagine that gunfight in your head. My chances of gunning him are like 5%. Maybe I gun him 1 in 20 times. But like in this game, I mean, even in Cold War, I gun him half the time. Maybe 45%, maybe 55%. I don't know. I just take the chow. If I'm simp, you just take the chow. Right? It's insane.
Right,
to me.
and that's the problematic nature of this game right now. I don't like the fact. I mean, I don't hate it, but it's just annoying that, like, similar to last year, you know how we had so many massive meta changes per major almost? It was like there was a gun change, or now we have a whole new map set. There's like ever changing. Change is good, but damn, can we get some consistency? Because like Major 1, let's say Major 1 happens, and like last year, Toronto wins, and then they can't win shit after because it's a completely different game after Major 1. So, I don't know. I think once this, if and when, and I really hope they fix this AR problem and just make it more balanced, considering how sub-dominant the maps are, you need to make the AR a little bit stronger. Once they do that, I do think, especially, let's say outside of the top 3, how the dynamic plays out between those teams is going to change a lot. And C9 cheese is going to favor certain teams. It's like C9 in that case, once the AR rebalances.
I'm just scrolling down the whole list.
You had to bring up that there.
I did. You like that?
Listen, they could. Nothing's helping that.
Dude, end it, man, end it. No way.
I ended it.
No, but I'll even say players like Kenny, for example. Like Kenny's a guy who, again, I think is positioned very well 90% of the time, but subs are just running out and ripping his shit out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, we saw it yesterday with a Kenny 1v2 with an AR. You know,
that was honestly the second guy, aka Envoy's problem. So he should have died. Kenny should have been dead, 100%. Anyone watching that knows.
No, I agree. I want to break it down.
Just kept his gun up. It was over. Yeah. But like, we'll watch it a bit later. We'll watch it later. But like,
gotta give Shotzi some gas as well. I think, given like the fact that he is like the do-it-all sub. Like, he's the slaying sub. He's the space-making sub. He's the taking a route sub. But yeah, he still has the highest KD and the highest slay rating in the whole game, which is, I mean, look, we knew this game was going to be good for him, but it should be no real surprise. But yeah, Shotzi and Kleenex, pred, but, in terms of impact.
He's fucking class.
Yeah.
He's class.
All right, let's talk about the next series, because I did want to spend a little bit of time discussing whether the Falcons are ever going to win a series. Because this weekend, I was hopeful. I had a little bit of hope, because they played OpTic and they kept it relatively competitive. Exit had a pretty good series. They could have won the Hassy. Like, the control was winnable, potentially. They did win the vault, and they were getting hyped. I thought that was cool to see. And okay, they got clapped on the skyline. Unfortunately, this is a trend of just getting absolutely pissland map 4. But I looked at it, and I was like, you know what? The next series, they play Surge. And Surge are actually not very good. So I was thinking, surely if there's a chance, they could maybe take this to 5. And again, you look at the numbers, and you think, well, I guess it wasn't horrific. But, it weren't great. And Roxas, the Roxman or whatever we call him, he didn't have the best time again. And this guy Wixel somehow has a 1.3, but I didn't even notice him do anything impactful on the map. So yeah, it's just a rough one for Falcons, because I think this was the series for me, and I was like, if they get game 5, I actually might be engaged. But if they lose before game 5, I don't even want to watch Falcons play anymore, because I like the energy they bring, but it's actually just painful to watch at this point. I don't know if you agree with that, but I find it painful to watch.
Honestly,
Honestly,
it was going to be like that. I told you at the start of the year, it was always going to be like that.
honestly, at this point, there's maybe a little bit comedy, but like it's kind of entertaining to see them play. Cause
Maybe that's the mentality shift that I will have at some point.
yeah, like if I was a serious Vegas Falcons or Saudi Falcons fan, yeah, I'd be in shambles right now. I'd be breaking down. I'd be hating life. But besides that, as a fan that's just watching some other teams play, oh, it's comedy. It's really funny to watch them play. The way they like call out, the way they play, some of the decisions they make on the map.
If
Guys
you
will jump out
accept
of
they're gonna lose mentally before the series
Yes.
begins, then I think it would.
It's
be fun
kind of
to watch.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's kind of fantastic to literally
Yeah.
watch them play.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I really wonder, man, like what do they actually listen to Clay? Because there's no way the things they're
Right.
doing are
This
what Clay Star is
control,
telling them
man.
to do.
This
They probably
There's
don't
control.
no
understand him.
way. That's what I think too. I'm like, bro, there's no way this is what Clay is saying for them to do at all. But there's probably, again, a language barrier, something, whether they have a translator there or not. It's not registering. That's kind of where I'm at right now with this team. So they're fun to watch, I guess, in my mind. I can't wait for the major. I can't wait to see like
For them to play one.
what. Yeah, for them to fly out just to play one series and be on their way home. I would love for them to shock me though. Again, I still want to keep that little bit of hope. I would love for them to turn it around and shock me. But as of right now, a lot of what I'm seeing is absolutely atrocious Call of Duty.
It is a bit of a shame they lost their best player. I
comment.
think that is a bit of an issue. Like, to be fair, it's not like Xnid was giga frying when Kix was there, but since Kix has left, Xnid stepped it up. But like, those two guys are legit. I mean, I'm hoping they get Kix back after the major, maybe. So I guess they can hope for it at this point, because otherwise it ain't gonna work. Like, the other guys just haven't. They don't cut the mustard, and I think that is the point, right? People are comparing the Falcons, as they did before the season began, to the Paris Legion team that won 2 series. I think they were, 2-23 all season long. It wasn't pretty. But what I'm saying about this team is that if you look at the CDL statistics, we did this the other day. We looked at all-time stats. You can filter on the website by all-time stats. So we're going to go all CDL time stats. We're going to go to KD, and we're going to filter by worst ever. And what you're not going to find here is the members of that Paris team. Although they were getting piss slammed, 2-23. An awful season. 2 series wins all season long. Horrific. But their numbers, were bad, but they weren't actually that bad. As in, some of their series were kind of close. These are the worst KDs of all time in the league, and it's populated by King of Body, Doom, Roxas, are like 3 of the bottom, few, and the careers are barely underway. So it's a bit of a problem when it comes to like, are they the worst team ever? And then the question is natural: Ace. Are Falcons gonna win a series this year?
If they play C9, they might have a chance. No, I'm kidding. But like,
I thought that against
I-
Surge, man.
Even
Genuinely-
C9 have got that one.
yeah, genuinely, I don't think so. Unless there's like again, the only unless is if they bring in people, they finally accept the idea of bringing in someone from NA, maybe. Maybe then there could be some change. Maybe what's them Kicks and Xnid get back together and try to figure it out. But as of right now, watching them play, truly, you don't have to know you don't have to be in the Call of Duty space or be a pro like Trey or be a watcher like Rab or, be a challenger like me to know that these guys are not playing Call of Duty properly at all. So, no.
I'm gonna say they get one. I think they get one.
Against who?
That is a good question. I think they get one against Miami at some point.
Miami?
Yeah, I think they
As one
get
of the
one
biggest
against
Miami
Heretics.
haters of all time, I don't think it's going to cut it, twin.
I think it's possible though, because like, if Falcons can get to a game 5, they could actually win one. Because they can win a game 2 search. They could Neslo a team. I just think they're gonna play. So they've played 7 series so far, including the minor. They've got one more to come. They've got the major, so probably just one series there. They've got 3 more stages and a minor. So they've got roughly 25 series left this season to play. So in 25 series, if their win percentage chance is 5%, they should get one. So yeah, that's my hot take. I think they somehow win a respawn, maybe a control, maybe a hardpoint, and they win 2 searches off a team like Miami, and then they get a dub. But I think it's 1 win all season. I'm gonna go for 1.
We are looking to get sponsored by the Saudis, so we might have to start a fucking.
We might have to
We'll cut this segment out of the VOD.
I'm a Falcon now. I'm a Falcon.
Not with the tattoos. I like the haram.
Oh yeah, no. I can't do it without them. I have to wear gloves or something.
Yeah, it's not looking hot for them at all. But you know what? On the other hand, too, it just sucks. Like, it sucks to be in a situation like that. You know, you're coming in, they're trying to keep it Saudi'd up, all this hype coming in. I'm sure people at home are like rooting it on completely. But the reality is, man, you gotta at least mix in some NA players, and honestly, they might have a better chance by letting Clay come in, grabbing Glow Frosty from their challengers team, grab Xnid and +1. They might actually win a series that way.
If they make a team change, does that like invalidate? Because like I'm assuming that they're gonna run with this, as in the only players they have are Saudi players, either from their main team or their academy.
Ace is frying, bro.
What Ace said earlier about being a challenger. Yeah, Ace the Rocksman goes crazy. So I mean, look, positive first bloods, 2 in 1. You got to think.
Yeah, no, it's a generational, man. It's a generational L on this team, and they got to see it. If they drag it out to the end of the season, I think that's just the biggest waste of time and money that any team could ever have.
I think the issue is like they went to EWC with this team last year. Okay, it's a different team now. Obviously, they've been forced to make a couple of changes. Well, they weren't forced to drop King of Body, but that was a good idea. The problem is, like, if they turn up to next year's EWC with basically the same team and get basically the same results, it's like, well, what actually was the point in coming into the league, I guess? So I think that's where they have to think about it. Like we said before the season, they might give it 2 stages before they think about trying to branch out. The reality is they've got some talents there. Like Xnid's nice with it. Kix is pretty nice with it. Obviously Kix, we didn't get a big sample size, but in the series he played, he was good. Okay, he played 4 series, lost all of them, but he played pretty well overall. So maybe there's still something there, but it's difficult for Clay because I guess you're praying that Kix gets back in the team somehow and you can go from there. But, you know, with the way that it is right now, there's lots of improvement that needs to be done.
Yeah, we kind of buried them 6 feet deep, so I feel bad at this point. We should
move on.
Get cooking on, because they're every
they don't
week
deserve
like
they don't. Yeah. I wanted to give them a little bit of more time this week because to me this week was a bit of a turning point for Falcons. Like this week was either going to prove to me that they have a chance or they have like very limited chance. So now I'm going to officially adopt the Ace mentality of just enjoy it and see if they get a win when they play Miami at some point.
You're not watching their matches for the good things. You're watching for the bad things, and you're gonna giggle a little bit. That's all it's for. That's the end of it right there.
When Ramadan shows up, they might be them, says William. It could go both ways actually on that, because we've seen it work both ways in the past.
Yeah, them being hungry and parched is gonna make them shoot straighter. I'm gonna go take away all their meals right now if I was the coach. If I was Clay right now, I'd be cutting off their salaries. You're not going to Chipotle. You're staying in this room. That'd be crazy, bro.
Okay, that's Falcons. They played a couple of series. I wanted to talk about Minnesota RØKKR because they played 2 series on the weekends. They lost to FaZe, and okay, FaZe only played 1 series, so maybe we'll just look at that one when RØKKR played FaZe, because I mean, there's a bit of an elephant in this room, and well, I mean, bro, this jersey pick does not do him any favors. But yeah, he's not had the best season so far, Paulex. RØKKR, what I will say, it's great to see Estriel really turning up. He's had a good couple of series now in a row. Nero's played, Estriel and Nero have been like exactly what I hoped and expected that they would be. Gio's been a bit underwhelming, and Paulex has been pretty damn miserable every series he's played. I appreciate they're playing FaZe, and Selim was playing at pace, and he had 11k damage, and he had the most kills in the lobby. And Selim is like, when he plays like this, FaZe are going to be very, very difficult to beat. But yeah, I mean, the series against Ultra was not pretty either. They went down there in 5. But even, you know, the way they lost in 5, okay, congrats, they brought it back, but they got slammed 6-0 on the protocol.
I'm telling you, all these reverse sweeps, it ain't, you know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna mask it. It ain't gonna cover it up.
Yeah, I hear you.
You're getting tucked. You're getting absolutely fucking tucked. It ain't gonna cut it. These reverse sweeps, these game 5s you're winning, it's going to end soon.
Yeah, there's no consistency there. It's not that. It is good to see a scrappy team like that. Like realistically, it's good to see this that they have some grit, but it's not a good sign if you're a coach or someone outsider, or even if you're on that team, that you guys can't consistently take down teams and you're fighting back usually from really big deficits, even on maps. And doesn't help when one of your players is having a generational stinky as well, just every series you go through. When we talk about team changes, right, we talk about a lot of this. I actually think first team change we're going to hear about is RØKKR for Paulex.
If I was them, would I do it now? Tempting. It's tough.
I don't
because like
I'd give it a good whirl.
I think I don't know. I actually kind of rated him when he was on that subliners team. Obviously, they had the run with Crim and everything, and Hydra. Like, there was something there. I didn't really think that he was the right fit for this particular roster, and it's tough because he had a couple of bad series, but they actually won a couple of them, right? Like in the qualifiers at the minor, they won a couple of series, even if Paul wasn't playing, like he wasn't dropping 1.2s, but they were winning the series and they're making the reverse sweep. So obviously, like, Paul deserves some credit for that. But the problem is that they've now played a couple of very important series in the context of their season. As we looked earlier at the standings, but like we can do it again if I can find out where they are in a second. And yeah, wait, hang on, here they are. And they're now 2 and 3 in the standings. They're sitting 9th, 11 in 16 map counts. Reasonable chance that they start in the losers bracket of the major. So the couple of series they just played, pretty critical, and they are upcoming against Surge. So I guess, you know, that's a winnable one. But yeah, apart from that, it's not really looking great for them.
I would say on the flip side though, there is some up and up, some you know, some green light coming on the other side of the hill. One, again, if hopefully this is hopeful, but if the meta change comes, then it would help out a player like Paulex. I'm sure playing against the Jackal is not fun at all as an AR right now, especially being, you know, more trying to be more quick on the map too. Definitely not. Geo doesn't move. We've heard of this last year that Geo's a guy who's very concrete booted. So Paulex is just running around getting shot by a Jackal everywhere, every corner he turns. Secondly, if I'm RØKKR and the situation is one of change, I gotta kind of be a little happy that it's my AR that's playing badly here and not my subs. Not only for the power of the sub, but because there's quite a few ARs that are available that are worthwhile. iLLeY being one of those guys, and Courage coming up being one of those guys. There's a few guys on the market right now that even honestly, even though he's a main AR, they'd be even better off of pulling in like a Dylan Rex in this case. Like I'm being so serious. Like there's guys in challengers right now on the AR side that are unproven in the league. So I think they're in a bad spot. The major is gonna be the final say for every team. But again, in my head, they're the closest to making a change just strictly due to performance. And probably frustration, because so many times you're just getting heartbroken or having to grind your way up. That could make or break a team, and in this case, you're so close to being good, and only one of your guys is kind of holding you back. So, I think it's inevitable.
This team ain't going last.
To be fair,
After
their
one-
last 4 series have been against FaZe and Ultra. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, but just look at how they're winning.
Yeah, that is the issue in it. Like they should have lost. If I looked at their recent series, and they obviously lost twice to FaZe, twice to Ultra, but the one that they won against Ultra, they really shouldn't have won. I mean, like they should have been 3-0 there realistically. And then their only wins are 3-2s against 2 against Gentlemates, 1 against Boston, 1 against Ultra. So
Their only wins have been game 5s.
yeah.
Like, I don't mean to be that guy, but that's ass.
Even this one against Boston, like 250, 245, 6-5. Like it could have been,
They're gonna be booed by the end of the season if they stick.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I
this
can't,
is
like-
early days as well. This is 7th of December, so it was a different time in the game.
Actually, I hate watching these teams.
RØKKR reached
It was
out to me.
it was literally Boston last year, like when they picked up Pentagram and Beans, and it was just straight up game 5, game 5, game 5. The only difference is that Boston, you knew Boston were going to lose those game 5s. You don't know whether RØKKR's going to win or lose them.
So I used to say it was the same thing about this RØKKR team back in Cold War. I always used to get pissed off at them because I know it was a Lamar's team at the time, but they loved a game 5. It didn't matter what happened. It didn't matter who they were playing. They were destined to go game 5. If they were playing a good team, they'd go game 5 and lose. If they're playing a bad team, they'd go game 5 and win. And it was annoying as a European COD fan because I'm trying to go to bed at a reasonable hour and RØKKR would torture my time. And it's the same damn thing here with this team to some degree. They reached out to me the other day to give me like a bundle code to give away.
Yeah, they've done that too. Yeah, they've done that too.
and
Shout out RØKKR, by the way.
Yeah, shout out RØKKR for that
Hey,
one.
listen, shout out the org. You guys are great, bro.
Yeah, you guys are great.
My word is your team ass.
But when they reached out to me, they were like, hope you enjoyed all the Game 5 bang-outs. I'm like, yeah, I know. I used to clown your organization for this years ago, and you're back in it again. Just constant Game 5s. It's just, like, it annoys me watching them, because I know that I don't need to watch the first 4 maps of the series, because I know where it's going. And depending on who they play, I know what the result is. If they're only FaZe, I know they're going to lose. So, it is what it is.
This team, to me, is just, it's a development team. These 3 of these guys, at least 3 of these guys, I'll say 2 of these guys for sure. 3rd one is questionable. 4th one, I don't know about that. Are going to be on different teams next year. They're going to be on making difference makers on different teams next year. And I'm specifically talking about Nero and Estriel. These are guys who actually have a good amount of talent or know what's going on the maps and could be good assets to other teams. Unfortunately, every year we have development teams. Basically, we have teams that we know are not going to be anything, but they're just going to end up developing our talent for the league. That's what RØKKR is. I don't really see that changing unless they do a pretty big overhaul of their team.
Bro, they just reverse sweep teams.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, we that's not enough.
That don't mean you're good.
Yeah.
I can't stand it.
But
I watch. Yeah,
Nero's
Nero's good. Yeah, no, Nero, Estro, Geo's had glimpses too.
Yeah.
But my word, I can't stand. They go 2-0 down. I'm thinking,
Uh-oh.
nice. We'll get this team off my screen.
We got them exactly where we want them to be.
Never mind, we're getting
Let's take it to a game 5, baby.
Just meet me an hour and a half later, and then I'm going around for my pipe. Fucking hell. Like, Jesus Christ.
And then they were always
Oh
involved
my
in some
God.
sort of like replay cheese, like the game crashes.
Server don't work or something, bro,
Like,
like-
oh my god.
Oh my God.
To be fair, speaking of game 5, like I know that they've played a couple of times against Minnesota. It's funny, isn't it? Looking at this, this is Toronto. They've won a lot of series, and they've been to game 5 against Heretics. To be fair, back in December, but the other 2 game 5s they've played since then, RØKKR, obviously. It's always how it is. But
Just farming them, bro. Farming them.
farming them. But I wanted to talk on this Toronto team, right? Because they are currently first in the CDL standings, right? They're sitting at 60 points right now. They're number 1 seed. They're 6-0. They've not lost a series. Their final one is against OpTic, so that's going to be a challenge for sure. And of course, they did go to the major or the minor, and they lost to RØKKR in the game 5. But that was a pretty cheese series, replays, Insight didn't call the streak, whatever. And then they played them online a couple of days ago, and they beat them in 5, but relatively comfortably. And then they went on to play Gentlemates, and they won that series as well. So where do you guys think this team is at? Because, as I said earlier, I do have my questions on Insight's play. I mean, he is one of the slowest players in the game right now. And to be fair, if you're teaming with Scrappy, if you're teaming with Beans, it's probably all right. I mean, Beans is a damage dealer. We talk about it a lot, but genuinely, the numbers on this do not lie. Beans will almost always have the highest damage in the entire lobby. And there's a very good
Bro,
reason
look
for
at
that.
his team, though, bro. They're just... that's a speed demon team. Insight.
is, yeah.
Beans, Kleenex, and Joe the Thieves. This is what, like, I feel like Attach needs around him.
It's a good point. If Attach was here for Insight, like, yeah.
I'm not saying Attach is better than Insight. I think Insight's unbelievable. I just
No, I
think,
wouldn't
like,
do that, but
if you've got one slow AR player, just pair him with 3 demons and then just hope to God that he speeds up with them. And I'm not saying like at the same pace, but he's there to pick up trades. He's there to be the line of defense. Beans, Kleenex, Joe the Thieves, Insight. I mean, I had high hopes for this team coming into the year. I put him like 4th, I think, or 3rd. I can't remember. They're just a good team. The RØKKR loss, yeah, whatever. It's a classic RØKKR, game 5 masterclass.
Yeah.
Listen, these are a good team. It's just, to me, it's going to all be about Major 1 for this team. It's going to determine, they're going in, probably going to end up 1st seed. They're unbeaten right now. This is like, this Major 1's going to determine if they're like, about it or not,
Yeah, for me, it's I actually, for years now, it's not I've been defending this point for longer, and now that Lamar's at the league, I can defend it without people saying it's biased cheese. But the slow AR rule, I actually don't hate. Obviously, it's play to what the strength your team needs. But like Trey's saying, this team already has the speed. They already have the firepower. They already have guys running and gunning. You kind of need someone to watch the map, watch the mini map, and dial in some of your, some of the best shooters in the game. You need to have someone like a team leader in a sense, a guy who's just kind of sitting back. I would say that Kenny's in this type of role as well. A lot of times he's playing a little bit slower. He's calling out what his people need to do and leading the charge of guys who are absolutely zoned in, moving, running, and gunning. So I like what Insight's doing. I don't care if he doesn't have a 1.1. I actually don't care at all. As long as his teammates are performing well and he's generally around the 0.95, 1.0 range, I think this team is going to be very successful. They have all the pieces to be the best, and the game honestly suits them very, very well. Like the map size, the type of gunfights, everything is very suited to a team that's just super talented at every role.
I think looking at this team from top to bottom, I think it's very interesting on the AR side, right? Because I don't disagree necessarily. Like, I do rate Insight as a player. I think he is a valuable asset, especially his search and destroy. then again, if I've got DASHY, would I pair him with playing the way that DASHY is in this game, like fast, aggressive, whatever, dropping damage as he did in BO4? Do I pair him with an Insight? Do I pair him with a guy like Kenny? Or, for example, if I'm FaZe and I've now got Cellian playing faster, Cell and Draz is a scary partnership, but again, it's a different partnership to what Insight is to his AR duos. And that's probably okay some of the time. I think my concern is, and it's not like Insight doesn't have impact, because he is a smart player, Insight. He knows how to position himself with respect to his team to get the best out of the other players. But he does, like, he has his play style, and that's the way that he plays. It's not like Cellian, where I think Insight could just speed up. I think with Insight, you get what you get, and that's fine if your team can work with it. The concern for me would be, all right, in this game, you're playing FaZe, and they've got Cell and Draza playing with some pace, and they're slaying heavily. If Insight is going, 18 in 21, that might be a problem. I think we'll see when they play top comp, really, because I think this, as people in the chat are saying, the way that their team currently is very, very effective against the teams that they've played, but they haven't really played as strong a competition as they could have done. They played FaZe on the first weekends, right? So, look, first match of the season, impressive win, but it's a bit of a different story today. Surge, Falcons, Heretics, RØKKR, Gentlemates, RØKKR. So, okay, 6-0, but it's not exactly been super clear cut. Their Search and Destroy is super good, though, and CleanX and CDL Thieves, I think, is a sensational duo, and I've been a big fan of Beans for a long time. So I do genuinely think the roster's very good. I just want to see how they play OpTic this weekend. The thing is, though, we talk about Carolina being good at Search. This Toronto team might just be the straight-up best Search team, and I guarantee you, if Toronto were up 5-1 on OpTic map 5 on Hacienda, they are not bottling that map 6-5.
The scheduling dilemma here is a big one, though. Like you said, there's a lot of, their numbers look great. Obviously, they look strong. Their record says a lot, but they haven't played top talent. They got a pretty breezy schedule this time around, which happens again. So yeah, there's teams that have had major ones that are very easy, and some that have had them that are a little bit rougher. So I rate them highly regardless. Definitely rate them highly. But major one, when there's pressure on the line, you're in person, it's a LAN, that's when I can have a definitive feeling if this team is truly the quote-unquote dark horse that's going to, we predicted 4th or 5th, and it's actually maybe a 1 or 2 type of team. Or it's all, just major one schedule cheese, and they get bopped out by a FaZe, LAT, or OpTic when it comes down to crunch time.
I said everything there is to say about Toronto, really.
No, I like it. I think you did a good job. The next series we want to discuss, I've kind of got one more I want to get into here before we talk about the big one from yesterday. And that is Ravens versus J Nassim. My goat.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So this was a mega series in the context of the season. I actually think for Ravens, this type of result was absolutely coming for them, because as good as they've been at Search and as good as they continue to be at Search, I mean, if you look at their recent results, okay, they started the seasons 3-0 Falcon, or 3-1 Falcons, 3-1 Gentlemates, 3-0 FaZe, 3-2 Cloud9. They 3-2'd Cloud9 again. They probably should have lost that series at the minor. They 3-2'd OpTic. But it's just, I mean, they've been scraping by game 5s, and it was inevitable that at some point they were going to lose a series like this where they simply can't win a hardpoint. And this is the funny thing, that Shotzi was roasting Ravens because they couldn't win a hardpoint in scrims, and he felt like Ravens weren't even trying. But it turns out their hardpoint is just pretty woeful. And look, we mentioned some of the other AR players earlier not being the best. Slasher came out the gates flying in this game. He was frying, playing at a fast pace, and I think this was just an off series for him. But still, he obviously had a rough one here. But I mean, on the other side, man, Boston deserves some credit, because still, Awakening has not impressed me really at all. But Cammy has been so good. Obviously, Snoopy and Purge get the credit, but I actually think Cammy's been very underrated. Cammy might be the most underrated player in the game right now, actually, because Purge is getting the credit he deserves. Snoopy's getting the credit he deserves. I think people are overlooking how good Cammy's been for this team from a leadership perspective, from just a straight gunny perspective. So Cammy's my current pick for most underrated player in the game. And he dropped a phenomenal series here, and he had 34 in 22 on the Per-J takeover map on the Vault. But this was a mesmerizing map to watch because, man, this guy Purge couldn't miss.
I think not only is Cammy overlooked, I think this whole team is just overlooked and underestimated in the league. You look at this team, it was made, we said this team was just Boston. We thought they weren't even going to be in a league. And then they come back and we just thought, fuck it, it's just going to be 4 people just push together, whatever like that. And we'll see where they end up. But this team's actually quality to watch. It's refreshing to see 4 players that have been put together like this and them actually, I would say still making the best out of a bad situation in terms of what Boston Breach were a few years ago to what they are now in terms of hosting events every year. Like you said as well, Rab, about them not having the money like they had and everything like that. To now having a team that I wouldn't necessarily say everyone would look at and be like, yeah, nah, this is a top quality team. It's just showing that hard work is paying off for them, and it's nice to see 4-1 in the league right now. It's unbelievable.
I'm still mixed on them, to be honest. I think they had a weekend here that looked phenomenal. It looked absurd, right? Per-J looked like he was Gump and goddamn BO2. Like he just looked like he was frying kids. I don't know. It was a legacy type of series, and it looked good. But again, with those highs come the lows, and I'm not gonna change my opinion solely on this series. It's one of those ones where, again, when I look at their record. I'm taking a look at their map counts and stuff. 8-4 in hard points, 5-6 in S&D, 3-3 in control. Their hard point is good, and considering the roster, maybe Per-J is a little bit of a surprise, but Snoopy's talented, Awakening is talented, and Cammy's talented. It's good. It's guys who in hard point I think could make some noise. They've had their rosters. I mean, their who they've played has been not necessarily the hardest schedule. 2 OpTic matches, both 1 win in the first week. If I take that out, I mean, their record's still 7-3, and then actually their S&D count drops to 3-6. So I'm not sold on them just yet, to be honest. I'm not sold on them just yet. I need to see a little bit more, and this group of guys definitely on the younger side. I'm not gonna say they're young, but younger side, they have a lot to prove. Big chip on their shoulder, so I'm glad they're doing it online. But major time, if they can make noise, then my opinion will change, and I'll consider them like real top dogs, real contenders at that point.
Yeah, I'm excited for their progress, especially we talked about it before the season began with Snoopy, how he might take to this season, given that the game should have theoretically suited him pretty well, which it seems to. He's bringing the energy, he's putting up messy celebrations after the series. I think going to LAN is going to be telling. Honestly, before we even get to LAN, we're going to know to some degree what the deal is here, because next weekend they play FaZe and they play Thieves. Those are the 2 games they play. So they've got a pretty rough close to their schedule. If you think about it, right, like they played OpTic, RØKKR. Okay, so if you look at their schedule in the qualifiers, they had RØKKR and Heretics, Easiest, and Surge. Those are their 3 easy series. They won 2 of them. All of them went to 5. They played Ravens and won it. They played OpTic and won it. And now they play FaZe and Thieves. So I think on paper, Boston have probably had the hardest run of anyone. And currently they're sitting 5th at 4-1. They may end 4-3. They could end 5-2. I mean, if they end 6-1, it's an absolute, masterclass, which is very unlikely. But regardless, they're going to be starting in the winners bracket, and they're going to be starting with probably a reasonable seed. But they're still probably going to have a difficult first round clash. But we know that when they play OpTic, it seems to always be fireworks. So yeah, I think this is going to be quite telling, right? Because if Boston couldn't keep it close with FaZe and Thieves, I think we have a team. I'm trying to find the team that could shock us and make the finals at Madrid that we don't expect. And is it possible to? It may not be possible.
I don't agree with someone, Chad, and you were saying this is like the hardest run so far. I'm saying, yeah, up ahead of them is the hardest run. That's where I'm agreeing. I'm saying I need to get to the major.
Included,
take my judgment,
including all 7
so
games.
far.
Yeah, but I mean,
so
look,
far,
anyone that has to play OpTic FaZe and Thieves and Ravens in a stint surely has got to be the hardest theoretical qualifier stretch.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at team names, then no. But like based on like how people are playing, and yeah.
I mean, they played OpTic their first week, then RØKKR Heretic Surge, then OpTic a loss. I think
it's a pretty hard one. I'm standing on that.
Carolina.
I wouldn't say they're final material for sure. I don't know what Rab's going on about. I wouldn't say they're final material.
I don't know about that. But
do they look good? Are they surprising? Yes. Do I look at them and think, yeah, shock final appearance?
Okay, I mean, I'm trying to find the team because like
you're trying to find the team. I mean, listen,
maybe it doesn't exist. Maybe the team doesn't exist, right? Maybe.
Listen, the only shock finals team I can see right now is FaZe because they're like 2-3.
Low key. I mean, it'd be per standings. It would be FaZe. Yeah.
No, I mean,
or like
people
the
saying I missed out
one,
Ravens, but like I don't think I am missing out Ravens. Bro, if they can't win a hard point, they're not making the finals. You know.
If I had to, I mean, Toronto.
Yeah, but
FaZe,
it's not like Boston have gone out and like fried everyone. Like they're doing well, but it's not like 3-0 and everyone.
Brother, we have this. This is my problem with this thought that it's so difficult and all this and that. We have the criticism on RØKKR, but again, all their series. 3-2, 2-3,
Boston
3-2,
are actually
3-2,
worse than RØKKR after game 5.
2-3, and then they just won a 3-1 for the first time. So like,
this.
I don't know why we're giving so much credit to Boston. They're better than expected because our expectation for them was goddamn like 11.
That's my point. That was my point.
No, but they got Iceland.
Well, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. It's not
Icy.
like I had fucking crazy. It's not like I had crazy hopes for fucking RØKKR either.
True. But I think just based on names and last year, maybe EWC performance, we saw a little bit of that because we saw Boston kind of preview this team there, obviously. Yeah,
actually, you know what? I'll revert my statement. Boston, you're just as bad as RØKKR.
No way.
I brought him to the dark side, baby. I brought him over.
Listen, the 3-2 wins, they ain't convincing me. They ain't. I will say that last match though was actually fire. I will give them. It was.
Yeah.
But
that was a generation.
But that is against the Royal Ravens, who, you know, Rab, you've called them fraudulent.
Yeah, I think...
right. The same way that Rab called Carolina fraudulent, I'm calling Boston fraudulent. That's basically exactly what's happening. Literally.
I think it's interesting, right? Because we predicted Ravens to make the finals at the minor, which they did. But it was...
Because we know ball.
Yeah, because we know ball. But, like, I think we could sense going into that weekend that they were on pretty shaky grounds, really. Like, losing to Cloud9 was a very realistic possibility that weekend. And they probably should have done so. But their search and TJ is so good and Slasher in that mode that it just didn't matter because they were always winning a respawn and mostly winning 2 searches. But I was always going to catch up with you.
If you want to ask me, I think it was a purple patch.
They were never going to stay that good. Like it was, you know, it's always how it goes. There's always one team that comes out the gate crying.
I mean, obviously they lost the finals, and you know, it's not like it's the end of the world that they just lost this. I just think they were looking too good for themselves, if you know what I'm saying. I don't think like that was going to be able to be upheld. Especially when every team's going to get better and, like, you know, it's going to level out. I think talent's just going to overtake.
Yeah, it's just that hardpoint's been so weak lately, right? If I just highlight these last... Let's say I ignore their first 3 series and I look at hardpoint records. They're 2-8 in the last 5 series in hardpoint.
Also, someone in the chat was like, oh, RØKKR... About Breach are better because they played better... They beat better people. Well, RØKKR beat... Gentlemates, they beat Boston Breach, they beat Gentlemates, they beat Toronto. And so, I mean, I'm not so sure that argument is so correct just yet. We need more time. We need more time with this team.
We're going to find out a bit more next week.
Listen, I ain't going to lie. If Boston were like 10-0 with Game 5 wins, I still wouldn't be calling them like the greatest team in the world. Like, You've obviously got issues if you go in game 5 that much.
Correct. It's correct.
That's my thing.
Your two hardest matches, and you lost to OpTic. You beat OpTic week 1. I'm not even counting that. You lost OpTic after. Your actual challenges, I'm assuming you're gonna lose. The next 2 matches you have are your big challenges. They beat them, then yeah, Monday I'll eat my words. Yeah. Next dope check episode 44. I'll be on the show eating my words. Get to the major, and then if they perform again, then I'll eat my words, and y'all can play this clip on that show and roast me.
Pred for Vivid makes them a real contender and solve their problems. Or solve their hardpoint issues. It's the best place for Pred if the top 3 teams don't make changes, says A in the chat. Do we think Ravens AG is a possibility, and is he going to steal Trey's all-time win record?
No. Move on.
That's because I'm too good.
Yeah, he's too strong.
Not even Gwyn's going to beat it. They're going to be in a slump after that one. I done some black magic over the weekend. It's chalked. Witchcraft wins, baby.
I can't believe we're getting to the point here where they're saying AG ends up on Royal Ravens. What does the world come to?
I mean,
where are we at, bro?
It's time. It might be time. Okay, we got to talk about the big one, ladies and gentlemen. Probably the series of the season. I think you got to say the series of the season so far. This was the big one on paper, OpTic versus Los Angeles Thieves, and it did not disappoint. This series had basically everything. OpTic started out the game 1 and they absolutely slammed Thieves, especially Scrappy. This brother had 6 kills in the first hardpoint. 6 kills, 19 deaths. I've never seen anything like it. Certainly not for a player of Scrappy's caliber. This is the lowest damage that we have seen in the history of the CDL in a hardpoint map. You don't see that very often. And it's not like it was a 250 to like 20. This is a 250 to 96. And Scrappy was just running around and dying. And he was getting some hill time. But
listen,
it's one of those
This
maps,
is why. This is what I was talking about with Scrappy. You know, sometimes he goes on social media and roasts everyone. This time he couldn't, and he actually took it like it was funny. He took it like, this is what I'm talking about when players take social media too seriously.
He did well. He did well there, I thought.
He done very well with this one. I don't know if I'm going to bring up his tweet, but
yeah, I got
something like 6 kills, 19 deaths, 10 miles ran or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and CDL hater, I told you guys the pros were going to like this guy. Pros will love this guy.
They love this guy.
The pros will love this guy.
This is one of my favorite tweets of him. It was where is it? This one. This is a good one. He was roasting himself here. I thought this was a brilliant tweet. Wrong about Purge, wrong about Kenny, unemployed. So yeah,
listen,
he's been dropping.
The pros are going to love this guy because this guy is like, it's just full of like jokes. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, there's no malicious intent behind it. And if you do shit, you do shit. Guess what? Would you rather a fan call you shit, or would you rather CWO hater call you a disaster class? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, that's bad. Back to
He's got a new one.
back to the match.
Yeah, let me try and find it again. Here we go.
6 and 19 ain't the best, but you know what? He's a top dog. Everyone has those games. He's not going to be dropping 19 and 6 every game. This was just a really good series. It was just a really good series, back and forth. OpTic showed some dominance in the first map. Scrap didn't let it phase him, going 6 and 19. He actually came back, and you know they went 2-1 up. And I mean the last map we'll have a word about that. But it was a fun match to watch, and I know all the fans liked it too. And this is what COD's all about: back and forth between the top players and the top teams. It's nice.
Yeah, it was a great series. It was, again, I think Trey encompassed pretty much everything I wanted to say within it. It's exactly what we want to see. We want to see teams kind of just go at it, man. And teams that we want to sit down and watch the matches with great players, you know, shooting back, not getting slammed, not playing bad COD. And we got to the map 5. So I mean, I think everything's been said, and everyone saw it. So there's not much for me to say besides we should get into some of the clips and stuff. That's really where the juice is here.
Yeah, I agree. The series kind of went as I thought it might. I mean, if I looked at this, I thought it was going to be a game 5. I had Thieves winning this in 5, and I was like, wow, I really know ball after about 6 rounds of the Hacienda search, and then things started to change quite dramatically. I think the map 3 to me was quite interesting because it's been quite a big talking point about OpTic's approach to control over the last few years, actually. And I did want to see if I could like try and find the video of this moment here. Oh, apologies for the audio in the background for the listeners. I think it was about this moment here, right? So this is the control game 3. OpTic are currently up 16-9 in terms of lives. I think it was this moment I wanted to look at, right? So at this point, Scrappy dies, and if we look at the mini map, Scrap is dead. There's 3 players of OpTic near the A point. B has 2 ticks captured, and OpTic are up by 7 lives. So realistically, I don't think OpTic should be losing this round a pretty small percentage of the time. But instead, number 6 gets on the point, stays on the point, and then hops up. So Shotzi hops up here, and 8 goes to the hill, but they let 2 hit the flank. They're a bit uncoordinated in terms of who's going to be. Shotzi then goes for the trade and dies. And all of a sudden, OpTic have no one on the point, and they run out of time and they lose the round. So I just think, again, this like mid-round decision-making here from OpTic when it comes to like actually getting on the bloody hill seems to be a problem for them in control. And I think it cost them this map, because if they win this round, then, you know, who knows. But I think it's just been a big talking point, and it's not a map that OpTic particularly like this Hacienda control.
I'm going to take it because pro, you know?
No, I'll go last. I'll hear both takes.
My take is that, again, it's a mistake. They're taking the high risk. We're up lives. You're already coming through the fountain. You take it over. Let me get ahead. Let me push out and get some spawn kills and drain their lives even more. I understand the thinking, but this game, it's just how this game plays. It's a lot of times the maps are a little bit. There's a lot of cuts. There's a lot of places you have to cover. Even with 4 people, you can't really catch everything. They had no info on the guy coming from what is it called? From L, basically. They had no info on that guy coming U, and they got caught slipping. It was a risk that makes sense to do. Could they have simplified it and done the more certain play? Yes. But I think it's like a 75-25 type moment. It's not as 90-10. It's not as clear. Because if you're in the moment, literally imagine yourself sitting there, you're ant on the map, you have 2 kills, you're up 7 lives. I can get up and get in their top, get top palace and just be on the stairs and spawn killing. That's a decent play to make, actually.
Yeah, the issue is one of those plays are there to make if you do it at the start of the game, or you've got time, or you need to be annoying there. You got to get on the point. That's you've got your kills. They're going to regroup. You shouldn't be throwing away your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've done what you needed to do right here. Get the kills. Go stack with the boys. We're trying to do too much. We've got 20 seconds left.
Hydra did just win in the game here, though, to be fair, because Hydra managed to like sneak through this gap here. Shotzi spotted him, and then number 8, DASHY, went to chase him down, but then Hydra just kind of made himself a bit of a nuisance and distracted everyone.
They're automatically going to fail this round.
Yeah.
There's 25 seconds left. You've just got 2 kills. Like, how do you plan on winning this map?
Yeah, I mean, you got
this round, for example.
Stay on the point for a bit.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, this is
in my opinion here, because they've already got ticks on B. After those 2 kills, I would have told everyone to wrap through mid and go B.
Yeah, which they could have done.
Agreed.
Like, A could have easily gone B.
I would have. If I'm after they get that kill, if I'm DASHY, I'm screaming, "Yo, everyone go B through mid. Boom, let's go stack that real quick. We'll get a minute. We're up lives. We're up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And also because you know that someone is going to make the play that Hydra makes. That you know that somebody's going to come up the stairs that way. So A is always going to be somewhat vulnerable. It's probably why Shotzzy makes his play.
Just imagine they all jumped out of that window. Just imagine they all jumped out of that window, and the guy that was on A went through the back alley, went through the mid alley of B. It's all hindsight, of course.
But
the way I see it from looking at the mini map and looking at the ticks on B, they've nearly caught B. They need 1 tick. They got 2 dead. Just 4 stack it, and then boom, you're back to you got a minute with up like 7 lives or whatever it is. You win the round easily.
Yeah, agreed 100%. 100%. They should have just got those 2, split out, come through, get on B. You probably get 2 more kills. Even if 3 of your guys die, you still drain lives a little bit. You stop time, you get your point, and then you pretty calmly and casually are getting A while just picking them off, panicking. So.
Oh, is this the map that DASHY snaked on?
This is the map that DASHY snaked on. You know, we might as well just do that now. I wanted to give a quick bit of gas to RØKKR because RØKKR has been cooking since he came into this team. I know his first couple of series are a little bit up and down. Look, at the end of the day, if RØKKR can translate this to LAN, then there is no reason to get pred back, given that there's some risk involved in doing that. I don't know if he can do it on LAN, but he literally has the #1 hardpoint KD in the entire game right now, RØKKR. Largely helped by the fact that he's not played that many series, and they did just slam Thieves in both of these maps. But still, I mean, RØKKR had a 1.23, 37 and 30 on the Skyline. That's a very, very good map for RØKKR, that Skyline hardpoint. And he had a 2.5 on the Hacienda. So, yeah, it's good to see RØKKR playing this well. Obviously, we know that his Search and Destroy has been one of the reasons why he's been quite valuable to OpTic as well. But, you know, I think that RØKKR-Shotzzy duo, it's not surprising that it's very effective. Of course, we're going to have some concerns on RØKKR until we get to LAN. I think that's always how it's going to be, Ace.
Yeah, I'm always the #1
RØKKR hater.
I'm not a hater. No. I say I was going to use the word hater, but hater is the wrong term for it. I'm not a hater of RØKKR. He's like, again, just talent-wise, unbelievable. He's been talented for damn near 10 years. He's great. It's just sometimes he makes certain plays that are he's just not in coordination with his team sometimes. And we saw it in MW2, guy. It's not like I'm speaking on things that there's not evidence behind. He's, as long as he stays coordinated, and again, this game is you have to be coordinated, of course, but at hard point, it's a lot more mixy than previous games. There's a lot less, it sounds funny, but there's a lot less thinking. So it helps certain players, and I think he's one of them that he's very good, and if he can just run and gun you and just make his way along with finessing and doing what he has to do, it's a dangerous combo. Those two together specifically are a dangerous combo. If you could complement RØKKR with another player that balances him out, that's where you find success. And him and Shotzzy together, I think, is a good translation of that. Will it be the same at LAN? We'll see. If I had to guess, honestly, considering the game, I think yes. I think they're going to be outstanding at LAN. It's going to really be on the ARs, and I mean Kenny specifically, to perform well, and that's going to be their X factor more than RØKKR is going to be their X factor, actually.
All right, let's talk about this from the Skyline, because Sib and Cloud9, they got a day worth of ban from scrims. The rumor had it that if it happened again, any team, first defense or otherwise, it was going to be a week of scrims banned. It was going to be, I don't know, 3 days of scrims out of there, whatever. So this is a clip from yesterday, and here's DASHY on the Skyline. And we don't get all the POVs here, which obviously makes things a little bit challenging. And the poll is officially in the chat. You can do some analysis on this, and you can figure out whether it officially breaks the rules or not, I think. Regardless of what you think, it's a bit of a grey area. The intent to use the mechanic for an advantage was there, but 2 pumps is allowed. So you are allowed to use this mechanic for the advantage as long as you don't overdo it. That's the way the pros have decided in the rules, in their rules that they made. The CDL don't care, do what you want as far as they're concerned. On first glance, it looks like he pumps 3 times. But when you slow it down, it looks like maybe on the second one, I did this in the video today, but like if you slow it down to 0.25 times and you go through it frame by frame, you'll see that DASHY hits the 1 snake, he stands up fully, he hits the second snake, but after the second snake, he doesn't stand up fully, he actually stays crouched. And then he hits a third one, and he stands up again. So, look, Snake, Trey, you're the snake expert. I want your thoughts on this.
He might get away with this one. Because he's shot mid-snake. He might get away. If you look after his first 2 pumps, he hits little. He stands up, shoots a little bit, gets right back down, and then goes back to it. He might get away with it. I still listen. The 2 pump rule sucks as well. Let's be honest. It's still snaking.
It's a stupid. I think it's a stupid rule. A 2 pump.
They're just giving people. They're just giving people like, yeah, you'll be alright with 2, man. Fuck it. Because listen, theoretically, if I'm in a head glitch, and I do a 2 pump and kill you, you're gonna say that I snaked you.
Yeah, I've still been snaked.
But I haven't.
There.
But I haven't. I've 2 pumped you. You know. Listen,
I think one.
I'm not the official referee. That's a day banner scrimser. It ain't Sib level though. It ain't Sib level.
It ain't Sib level. Yeah. But
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't think it's a snake. I think this is one of those ones that when you see it through this perspective, it looks a lot worse than it is. I think it is within the rules. I don't think it should be a red card actually. If we saw it from his perspective and it looks the way it does here, I think that would be the full guilty offense. But as of right now, I think this is actually not a red card snake.
Let me watch this. Let me get it.
Play it full time real quick. 100% speed.
Nah. Keep it like this. Keep it like this.
Yeah. I got 0.25. I know that Dashy like recreated it or something. I've not watched.
He does it 3 times there.
Yeah, well, the second time, I don't know. I know what you mean about his shoots.
Right? So listen. The second time, he doesn't stand up, but that's the camera breaking. That's not him actually not standing up. That's the camera breaking. He can see you. Look at this after the second time. I crouch up, down, up, down, up. That's 3.
Yeah, the camera does actually break a little bit there.
That's 3.
I mean, I think like all I'm saying is if this was a different player,
second time is 3. The second time is 3 because he does it. The camera actually breaks on the spectator. He stands up, crouch. But the camera breaks. That's 3.
I just think, look, people are saying, oh, well, he did 2 pumps and then he stopped because he did the crouch and then he did another pump. It's like, well, I don't know.
The second time. This one here. This one here. Down, up, down, up, down, up.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm on him.
I think, yeah, as Viper says, like it's the intent to snake the guy who he was challenging is there. In an ideal world, I don't think any of this exists. I think even the 1 pump thing is stupid. Now, obviously, we're going to discuss Kenny's thing in a second because Kenny went prone, stood up again. So did he snake him? No. But anything more than 1.
If that's Cell, FaZe 1 day ban.
100% Cell. If that was Cell, oh my god, the community is in uproar. No doubt about it. And I'm not trying to like hate on OpTic or anything. It's just how it works, right? Like you get a player
if that's
team
Cell,
that's well
Draza, yeah. Or if that happens to an OpTic member.
Not a snake. That's not a snake.
Dashy tweeted it either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
I see we got Stevie Wonder in the call today. What's up, Ace?
Was that welcome? Get the glasses on.
Yeah.
Again, I'll always call.
Listen, he knows he's snaked.
He had to be fair, Dashy does know he's snaked because attached in a clip. I can't find it now. I had it in the video earlier today, but attached on stream said that Dashy was going in the GA chat posting other clips of people snaking. So that says to me, Dashy knows he's guilty, but he's trying to say, well, look, if you get me for it, then there's loads of other guys you got to get as well that you didn't do.
Yeah.
That's my opinion anyway.
He knows he snaked too. Someone said in the chat, like, yeah, Dashy said he snaked.
People talking about the wall being wall bangable as well. It's like, that shouldn't matter.
No, that's cheese. That's cheese.
I don't think that should matter.
You can shoot through it doesn't mean you just snake the wall. That makes no sense.
Because otherwise there'd be no advantage to snaking the wall, but obviously there is.
Bro, the 2 pump thing to me is comedy though. Oh, I see him. What? That's 1. That's 2. Oh, you've been cameraed there.
Yeah,
it don't matter, though.
I know. I think it's got to be only 1, man. I think any more than 1, it's intent to snake. 1, I get it because you might be reloading or like you're in a gunfight, you duck down to get up again. Fair enough. If you hit any more than 1 pump, I think that's a snake.
Artistry, chill out. You've gone crazy in the chat. Spam typing that Cell done it against New York last year. But this is the first year where we've actually had pros come up with repercussions for it, like properly.
Probably try.
Where they've spoke about like properly having repercussions for it. We know we know Cell snakes. Trust me, we know. I played against it. I played with him when he does it. I know. Trust me.
My only thing here is just we're on a slippery slope. That's one thing I do want to say. We're on this year, the way it's starting out with a lot of people's frustrations. We're on a slippery slope. I don't know. Dashy puts in apparently clips of other people snaking. We've had 2 weeks in a row of people snaking. It's getting a little dicey in my opinion. And he has someone on OpTic doing it now.
I'd love to be on OpTic. I'll just call people out left, right, center because no one's gonna say anything to you. You go and win the public vote every time.
But if they start snaking consistently, then it's just a snowball effect.
Right, Dashy could snake 10 times, and an OpTic fan would go, "What do you want him to do there? Like he was going to die. He's going to die. Like he's got to do that. That weren't a snake. He was just defending himself. He was covering himself."
Even Scump said it was 3 pumps.
Yeah, listen, I know bull.
But yeah, well, look, we'll see what they do. I think he'll get away with it. But
Yeah, of course he's getting away with it.
So do I. Yeah, I think that's the thing. At the end of the day, is anything going to happen? No, I think he's going to get away with it, and everything's going to be completely fine. For them, at least.
But it will. I mean, this will continue to be a controversial moment going forward.
Listen, I ain't saying anything. I've already said let snaking be a thing, man. Fuck it.
That is your take, to be fair.
Look, that snaking created some of the most historic clips of all time. 1v3s just camping behind a box because they couldn't kill you.
Low key true.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I agree with that
Dashy
take,
tweeting out like, "Oh, you ever live long enough to see yourself become the villain?" Like he knows he snaked. Everyone knows he snaked, and then everyone's going to do the same thing. They're going to get away with it one time, and then they're going to refer it back to Dashy's thing. Yeah, it's a slippery.
This is what's going to happen because the next time it happens, people will say, "Oh, Dashy didn't get banned." So what's good?
Right.
But like
that's why I'm worried, man.
It will happen, but the thing is, the pros, like, they're just not very good at dealing with this. But it is a grey area, so I don't necessarily blame the pros. But also the pros, like, they don't really have an incentive to, like, enforce the rules in the way that the league would. Like, if this was a league-mandated rule, even if it's a grey area, like, subjective, every sport has fouls that are subjective or whatever, but usually a foul... In football, a foul.
I could not imagine signing that contract.
Yeah, if you more than one pump.
Yeah,
suspend.
Imagine that, like no gambling, no betting on your own matches, no more than 2 pumps in a match.
Yeah, no more than 2 pumps. Even then, what's the CDL gonna do? Stop you from practicing against other teams in your own time? Like they can't even do that, right?
Imagine that they catch you in a private match. We've banned Trey Zero because we caught him doing 10 pump tryouts in a fucking free for all.
Yeah, exactly. They can't enforce it, so it's on the pros to figure it out. And as
motherfucker's been doing beans for fucking 10 years, but where 2 pumps is where we draw.
Oh, this league is cooked.
Oh, man.
All right, we eventually got to game 5, Dashy pump or not, and like this was the moment, probably one of the hype moments of the year so far. I just wanted to play it out, actually, so I'll play it out with the audio for everyone, and then we can talk about it afterwards. I'll play this version, and then I'll play the comms from the teams, because we have that as well.
And they're coming, they're taking the fight to him. They're bringing this bomb over towards his site.
Don't get up.
Here we go. There's one.
Still an insane clutch to look back on. Here you go.
I mean, I feel so sorry for Envoy. I knew exactly what he was going. I knew exactly what he was going for.
Yeah, it is tough, especially
like he's one shot. He's laid down. He's laid down. He's probably thought, fuck it. He's gonna sit there and just regen health. I'm gonna pull out a pistol and just fucking run at him and kill him. Kenny's obviously got no chance. He stood up, gunned his shit, and there's nothing you can do really apart from laugh.
Caught him literally in the sprint,
Yeah,
too.
Like I know exactly what he's going for. He just thinks Kenny's gonna sit there and just regen. The only way Kenny wins that round is by doing what he does. Like,
yeah,
it's just unfortunate.
I mean, it's
So I say unfortunate. It's not Envoy. You got to get that kill 10 out of 10. Like, every day. Of the week.
Especially in this moment,
just
like...
just keep your gun up. Just
all he has to do
pre-aim,
is
hold the pre-aim, and walk forward.
I was even thinking
walk
today,
forward.
like,
Just sit.
he could even
pre-aim,
just
wall
jump
bang.
over the wall. Like, he could literally hit like one little hop jump and kill him. I don't know if Envoy thought that he slid away, possibly. Like,
No hope.
Nah, no chance, bro.
Did he? Because obviously he didn't, but like it might have looked like it from Envoy's POV that he slid around the corner. It's the only excuse I can give him because like the slide. I mean, you can see it's like wide. When I don't know, he's sliding. He's not got his gun out.
Nah, there's no excuse for it. He's just you give him that
He
scenario
has
another day of
it.
the week, the rest of the year. You give him you give him that scenario another day of the week for the rest of the year. He's not losing it. He's probably having nightmares about that one. That's one of those 1v1s you think about for like the next like week and a half.
Yeah, he won't be able to get that out of his head. And I think out all the ways he could have played it differently, all the ways they could have ran.
Sucks that it was on his B day. That is probably the worst B day gift of all time.
It is a rough one. Yeah.
And you've given it to yourself.
Yeah, so painful.
Yeah, you have.
Even the reaction from the, I mean, obviously the OpTic guys are hyped, the Thieves guys are mind blown. I just wanted to share the comms here. Let me just play.
I will say though, like if you just watch the 1v2 back, you can tell there was some bad comms or something like that because they don't chow together.
Yeah, it's a bit messy from Thieves really. They're running around together, but if it was
horrendously messy,
if it was
so
Carolina,
messy.
they would be. If it was Carolina, Envoy is like here where my mouse is.
Listen,
you guys can see
a team like LA Thieves, a team of this caliber, a team of these players, they should never, ever, ever get 1v2'd here. And I know Envoy messed up, but this wasn't even a chow together. This was going for a trade. This wasn't even. This was this teamwork here was dreadful.
Because even like the way. Because okay, Kenny turns around, and as soon as he turned around, I thought, oh, he's lost. So, like, I mean, you look at this screenshot right here, you think he's gonna win this round? Like, he's looking at the wall, Envoy's shooting him in the side. But at this moment here, as soon as he kills like Ghosty or whatever it was, then
I'd love to hear the
Hydra.
comms from LA Thieves here because this is like a scenario of like, yo, you want to chow the right hallway? Yeah. All right, 3, 2, 1, let's go. There was no 3, 2, 1 here.
Yeah, they just ran around, tried to find the guy.
There in no way should Hydra die before in a 1v2 like this before Envoy gets to the corner.
All we have is this for now. When the immediate reaction.
Dude. Wow, man.
Scrubby was actually
back to
about
the
to burst
start of
out
it.
laughing. Oh yeah. I'll just play this whole thing.
Listen, I get they was in a rush, not the crazy amount of time left, but like that's 16 seconds in a game this fast. You're gonna get to the bomb at 10. Like you're good. Like you've got time.
And also, it was a 5-1. I mean, that's the other thing to notice here, that they literally up 5-1 this map. They blew a few rounds. Shotzi made some great plays to get them to 5-5, but then to lose the 5-5 in this way, it's like, oh, man, it is a rough one. But it was a big map for a big moment for Kenny, really, like individually,
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, like, beating up 5-1, yeah, that's a choke in itself, but you can tell those comms were bad in that 1v2. You should never lose that in a million years. Like, RØKKR would win that, Just chow the corner together. That's all you got to do. And they know that too.
Yeah, it's a criminal loss on LAT's part all around. Like, really, realistically, that should be an LAT series that they have in the books. But unfortunately, how it's written down is OpTic Texas won that series in a crazy, crazy way. Kenny, is this going to be a good moment of the season for Kenny that's going to be like a turnaround for him? He has a hype moment like that, and all of a sudden we see him shooting differently. Maybe. That's kind of, it's one of those series wins and comebacks that I feel like can really fuel a team, especially, 2 weeks out from a major, basically. It could be a really big spark for them leading into the major, winning against LAT like this. So I'm hyped for them, and I think that OpTic are a dangerous team, even more dangerous than they were. now you've got these guys going on like delusional confidence, and OpTic is a vibey type of team. So
My
I'd
thing
be
is,
scared.
I think Kenny looks like he's not playing as well, is because I feel like he's, and obviously anyone can correct me if they think I'm wrong, but I think he's man managing. Like he's always looking at his mini map, trying like he's that type of player. You know, even Octane said it, like how
He
he's
said
got
it
one of the best
himself
comms in
last
the
year
game.
about
He's
how
a
he does
leader.
that.
Yeah. And I think he's focused on a lot of people's gameplay rather than his own because he wants the map to play perfectly. And when you've got Shotzi and Hugh running around the map, you know what's happening because them two are so fast. And I think he's trying to I think he's not focused on his own gameplay as much. And I mean, obviously that's an LA Thieves fuck up, but you saw how good he is in like a 1v2 clutch moment right there. You know, when it's just him by himself. I think if he stops trying to go crazy on the man managing or like player managing in that aspect when it comes to in game, we might see him at being better. But that might just be him at the start of the game, just helping people learn what to do before it's solidified in their own brains before he can just do his own thing.
I do think that is partially true, Trey. Like he talked about this last year, Kenny, that when Pred was not playing how they wanted him to play, it made Kenny play worse because Kenny was constantly thinking about why the hell is Pred laying down in this bloody corner? Why isn't he challenging? Like this type of stuff. And Kenny was then looking at Pred's minimap the whole time to figure out what was going wrong. Whereas when Pred was playing the way they wanted him to play, Kenny was free to say, all right, Pred and Shotzi got this, I can lock in. And I think that's probably true that at the start of the game, especially at this point, Kenny's hyper-fixated mostly on improving rather than necessarily winning. But when it comes to crunch time, either at events or at the end of the season, I think it becomes a different story. So it just is a bit frustrating to me because I see a lot of, there was a lot of OpTic fans. There was a Reddit post that went out during this series after map 2, map 3 to say, who's replacing Kenny, right? Like, who's Kenny getting dropped for? And I'm like, hang on a second. You're down 2-1 to Thieves, one of the best teams in the game on paper anyway, and Kenny's about to make a pretty generational play map 5. And look, Kenny deserves criticism for the fact that he's not been great so far this season. But is it a massive surprise? Not really. This is how it is with Kenny. He's going to be weaker online. He's going to be weaker in search and destroy at the start of the game. It's exactly what you expect. But come a crunch moment, a big clutch, come a LAN environment, come a grand finals, Kenny's going to be there to deliver. We've seen it before. We're going to see it again. So I don't think OpTic fans have to be concerned about that. I think the Thieves have a lot to think about after this series, right? Obviously, it was a red carpet across the board for them, but a lot of that was the atrocious map 1. But the 5-1 choke was particularly rough, especially in the way that it happened. But still, you look at Thieves, they've beaten FaZe this year, they've lost to FaZe this year at the minor, and they've lost to OpTic this year. Those are the only series they've lost so far. So Thieves haven't looked great, but if you look at their results, they're still perfectly fine, really. They're just not maybe as strong as I thought they might look, but they also lost their rewind, and their rewind was a good map for them.
I think a lot of their losses. One thing about when you lose is like, how do you lose? Their losses still look winnable. This loss to OpTic was a very winnable series. It wasn't like they were ever out of it, and even honestly, they should have won. If you generally just look at how LAT lose maps or games and maps and stuff, very rarely is it one where it's catastrophic. I mean, to be honest, yeah, the loss to FaZe was probably the one time they looked a little bit outclassed, right? So if I'm an LAT fan, I'm not giving up hope. I'm not like, oh man, we lost OpTic. It's chalk now. It's so bad. Nah, I think they're right there on the cusp, and this could be a good fuel to the fire leading into the major. So I'm still keeping them top 2, honestly. Still top 2 in my eyes.
I don't get the Kenny hate. I really don't. Even from his own fans. He's like one of the most like decorated players in the CDL. As a competitive player too. And he's just won champs. That boy knows how to win. And until he starts getting absolutely twerked on, leave him be. He's a dog.
Yeah, I just don't understand how, the fans can't even give him one tournament. It's like he's literally won champs a few months ago, and halfway through the first stage, I'm hearing drop Kenny. I'm like, oh, just give an event at least. If he was getting twerked on 0.6s every series, then sure, I see the argument. But he's not been that bad, and the rest of his teammates have like the top 3 KDs in the entire league. Like Shotzi has the best KD in the league, and excluding Kicks and Pred, who can Dashy have the next 2 best. So it's not like there's that many kills to go around for Kenny, and Kenny has a 0.9 this season. Like it's not horrific.
I will
it's
say
not 0.7. It's not
I will
0.8.
say Hydra this year is himself though. He hasn't started off the hottest.
It's also true to look at. I think the thing is with Hydra, it's interesting really. You look at his eye test, and you're like, this guy is unreal. But you're right, he's only started off with a 1.04. Was this not true last year though as well? I swear at the start of last season, he also.
I mean, I'm just
wasn't
basing
that
it off
strong.
like pure hype of
And
like
then he
how
really
good he is as
turned
a
up.
player. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
you're
saying?
not wrong.
I'm not saying he's bad by no means. Like that's still a solid KD. They're a solid team. I'm just saying like Hydra hasn't looked like Hydra, but is that also because he's got better players around him?
It's actually his search and destroy that's been letting him down really, because his hard point's kind of where you might expect it to be, and also he has he has stronger teammates, but
You know what I'm saying? Like now he's got Scrap and Hydra, Ghosty. Like
these were his
teammates
numbers.
around
Yeah, I
him.
was right. These were his numbers last year. Major 1 last year, Hydra looked pretty normal. 1.13 in hard point, 1.00 search, 1.07 control. So like, yeah.
That's normal.
For Hydra, this is normal. This is basically what he's doing now.
I'm saying those are still like general
No, these
elite
are-
level.
No, these
numbers
are nice
right
numbers,
there.
but like Major 2, he was looking like this, right? Like he had a 99 overall Major 2. So I'm just saying that last year he also didn't start out super hot, and then as the game went on, he just got better and better.
Again, Hydra is obviously very good skilled, but he's like I say, when I mentioned the French point earlier about gentlemates and stuff, Hydra is very intelligent. So the course of a game, major to major, learning the strats, the correct timings and everything, that takes time. A player like him, he's elite for that reason. His intelligence puts him above everyone else. So it's gonna take a few major cycles in a little bit of time, for him to become the player we expect him to be. Sure, he's sharing kills, but even in effectiveness, it's not like previous years. It's still there, but it's not exactly the same. But give him some
I
time
hate
to
the fact
catch
that
up.
motherfucker's 22 years old too.
It's a joke, isn't it?
Yeah, he's gonna be frying. But one more thing, yeah, the Kenny hate too. Again, the same respect I give to Insight in terms of he's leading, he's doing the dirt, he's doing the slow work, the analysis basically on the map. Kenny's in the same type of role, and one of them is more decorated. I can't give hate to Kenny if I'm not gonna give way more hate to Insight. So I think everyone needs to stop meat riding and let the team rock. Obviously, they're very, very good, bro. Like they're still, what, 7-2 or 7-2 the map count, 5-1, yeah, 5-1 game count. They're an elite team in the league, and Kenny should not be dropped or XYZ negative criticism. Nah, they're playing exactly how they want to play.
Just before we finish out, I mean, what an episode we've had. 2 hours 37 on my books, so pretty much exactly where we thought we'd be. These are the standings right now with Major 1. Obviously, you can consider the fact that OpTic are on 60, Ravens are on 60, FaZe are on 50, and RØKKR are on 30, if you look at it from an overall season perspective, because the points from the minor don't count towards the major, they count towards champs. Whatever, it's probably a stupid idea, but it is what it is. The only team that we haven't really talked about here, probably a little bit, is FaZe. So just a couple of words on them really before we close out, because they're currently sitting, I mean, okay, they're 8th on our website here. Yeah, they're 8th on the standings that the Intel CDL put together here. It's strange to think that a team that's 8th in the standings right now is probably the best team in the game, and probably the best team in the game. I wouldn't say comfortably, because they've had...
It's not by a mile.
It's not by a margin, but like right now they are the favourites for Madrid. And they're currently 2-3, sitting 8th in the regular standings. But that shows how much they've improved, right?
Listen, if I'm Ultra, I'm throwing my match next week. I'm not playing first round 1v. You play 1 plays 8. I'm not playing 8, bro. That's
wait.
probably won't end
FaZe
eighth, that's the thing.
FaZe ain't gonna finish 8th though. If I'm Ultra, I'm praying I win my next match, because FaZe gonna win theirs, and I'm gonna play Surge.
Wait, who is FaZe playing? Who's their next match?
FaZe played
Don't matter,
Boston.
they gonna win it.
And
Boston.
they play one other one. Let me have a look. They played two more games.
Just so we can get a full scope of like the potential.
Cloud9, yeah,
They-
of course. Cena.
Boston and
plays
Cloud.
who?
Oh yeah, that's a win for sure.
That's a-
All right, so back to the standings. They'll probably end up, if they get 2 wins, let's say they're 3-0s or something, they'll probably end up where? 5th or 5th
4
or
and
4th?
3. They'll probably be 5th, 6th, something like that. That's where they'll be. So they'll play
4
3rd
and
or
3.
4th. But the thing is, 3rd or 4th is going to be like, I mean, that could be Thieves. Could be Thieves. Plausible.
Imagine a FaZe Thieves first round. Woo.
I mean,
Wait,
that'd
Connor. Hey,
be a
Connor,
good time.
tell me, Connor, please tell me how FaZe are probably not favorites for the major event.
I mean, they've won
If
the
you
minor.
can tell me that, if you can tell me that, if you can give me a logical explanation of that, then then I'll leave you be.
I think the reason why I rate them is just okay. They
Whoa!
lost map 1 to Hacienda. Wait, what's he said? Oh,
$25 from Torch Gaming.
Let's go,
Sure.
Torch
Keep it
Gaming.
coming.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Appreciate
One
you.
singular
Thank you
limb,
so
basically a
much.
scrim session. All right, why didn't OpTic win it then if they're the best scrim team?
I think just you
Oh,
look at
Trey,
FaZe.
how could you say that?
They lost map 1 to
I mean,
RØKKR.
he wants to go there. I'll go there. Like
Yeah, Trey will challenge you on
really
that one. But like the other maps, I
will
know
tell
that
you
it's
any day of the
RØKKR,
week.
but the other 3 maps, this was like FaZe of old. Comfortable search, dominant control, dominant hardpoint, right? Like they're the only team right now, FaZe, that have it like that in all the game modes. And like obviously they haven't played the best CoD or the best teams lately, but I still think right now they're favourites. They've won the minor, they've won every series they've played recently. They've
Hey,
beaten
Connor, I'll
Thieves.
tell you what. Let's throw some money up on the line. I'll tell you what. I got £50 that FaZe win the major and Thieves don't. How about that?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I'll throw up Yash.
This is gonna be interesting. I
And
like.
if
I like
no
when this
one,
happens.
and then if no one, and if them two don't win it, then we just call it flat.
Hey, who was the guy in the chat that was saying it? Who was it?
Connor.
Connor Morton
Connor, you
says
down?
These
This
will
is a
win
pure
major
call-out.
one easily. Yeah.
He
So
said
it's,
Thieves will win major one easily.
So-
I'll take FaZe any day of the week, and I'll throw up 50 Yash.
Are we down for the 50 donated?
oh, he's gone quiet now. Is he coming back with a chow? Is he going to say 100? Take it or leave it?
Yeah.
Tell
Can
me
we
what that
at Connor buy me a spoons when what is a spoon?
is. Spoon,
Yeah, that's
sorry.
fine. Listen, I'll tell you what. We'll make it 50 because obviously in this economy, 50 is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Not for me though.
Amen to that.
We'll do a little 20. You know, a little 20 bum. We'll have a little. You know, dope check. You know, we don't gamble over here though. It's
No, of
parlay.
course. No.
No, sir.
Oh,
30. Oh my god.
30, Bob. What up?
Oh my days.
Damn, Torch has been cooked. You gotta come back with a heater here. No, shut up. guys. Beans is greater than. Agreed. Very well said. Maybe, I mean, look, to be fair, if Toronto finished 7-0, having beaten OpTic, like they also are making a pretty compelling case to be favourites. But you know, obviously they played the minor and didn't win it, so there's always that. It's remarkable scenes.
Before the episode ends, though, guys, we are 2 super chats away from reaching the goal of buy Trey hair gel. So, you know, please.
It could be $1, man. It doesn't matter. Just get us in there, man.
We might
Hey
need some
Connor,
hot hair
Connor,
gel.
I will say you've defended OpTic a lot in this chat, and you know it's nice to see. You know, I don't even care if anyone like roasts any of us or anything like that. All interactions are good. We find you guys hilarious. You know, everyone that's been in the chat too. We've had over 900 viewers, 800 viewers the whole stream. So it's been an absolute blessed one.
Yeah, it's been great. Switching to YouTube apparently was something we were missing out on because over here on
Yeah.
YouTube we get a lot of love actually, man.
Yeah, you guys are
appreciate
popping
all
up
you guys.
every show. We appreciate it so much. If you guys listen on the audio platforms as well, drop us a little 5-star review if you like the show. If you hate the show, don't drop us a little 1-star review. We'd appreciate it if you did.
5-star review as well.
5-star review.
Talk about how much you hate it.
Yeah, no.
Hey,
If you
I'm
hate
God's
it,
alive
leave a
with the
5-star. Yeah, if you hate it,
Hey.
leave a 5-star. Just telling us how much you fucking hate.
Yeah,
us.
that would
Like,
work.
That's all it.
We'd appreciate that.
Because we're gonna read it. we'll read it for sure. It's like someone else put in our comments. Remember that comments? What was it Steve put in our chat the other week? And it was like, "Why does Trey even do this? He doesn't even like COD." Yeah, I think COD's ass. I mean, I do it for the love of the game, baby. The love of the game.
Let's go, baby. We can afford
Hey.
Trey's hair gel. Let's go.
That
got it
you
on me right
the
now.
one
Go.
up Castle. Thank you so much for the.
Yeah, thank
Bro,
you all
you
guys
hit
for
them,
the
man.
love.
We appreciate you guys. Well, close out, yeah.
You are very welcome to close out the show.
About
is you,
that
buddy.
time. It's been a great day. It's streaming for 3 hours. It's been it kind of went by so fast. So we appreciate everyone for coming in. We hope that we made your day a little bit better because you definitely made ours a bit better. Have a good rest of your holiday. If you are free and out of school or whatever you're doing, have a good rest of your day. We love you guys. Dope Check episode 43 is wraps. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. We will see you guys next week before Major 1 for our last show before the Major. So we can't wait. See you guys.